A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now for our story. After what happened in that terrible struggle in Carter's office Friday, there's really little we can say. Of course, you know that Benjamin Carter was killed. Carter, a man of relentless cunning and suave self-will. A man whose one consuming desire was to run the town of Sanders. Yes, during that terrific struggle with Max Tilley in the manager's office of the old Stratford Southern Arms Hotel, Max's gun went off and Carter fell a victim. Max had gone there after learning of Carter's visit to his home. An insulting gesture in view of this man's poisoning of the spring water which almost proved fatal to Mary Sothern. Max had never trusted Benjamin Carter, even at the point when it seemed that Carter was gradually swinging the feelings of some over his way. Our scene opens today at the office of Sheriff Barstow in the county jail. As Max Tilley enters, a worn, tired, beaten, dejected figure, in whose right hand dangles a revolver.
Thing busted. If I ever play solitaire with myself again, I ought to be locked up in a cell. That's the 5th time I've overlooked the right play this hand.
Hey, Andrews, I want to see the sheriff.
Huh? Max Tilley. Why don't you come over here in the light where I can see you? Hey, what's this? You got a gun?
Hey, where's Sheriff Barstow? I got to see him.
Well, he ain't here. I'm taking his place. He's on his vacation up in Canada.
Well, guess you'll have to do then.
Yeah, I'm deputy sheriff in his absence. Sit down, Max. You don't look so good.
I don't feel so good, Andrews. I'm in a bad way.
Nothing happened to Mary.
No, Andrews.
I'm glad of that. It's too bad about her getting poisoned. I ought to investigate that, you know, Max, but...
I don't need no investigating. Not now.
What do you mean, Max?
I just killed a man tonight, and the rat deserved to die.
Ain't been reading them dime detective thrillers, Max, have you? Say, I read a dandy tonight.
Now, look here, Sheriff. You see, it's like this. He wanted to get a hold of the whole town. I seen it coming. That's why he poisoned the water.
Say, you don't mean that, Max.
Carter's dead. Benjamin Carter was killed a half hour ago.
Carter? What? Carter dead? Look here, Max. You did that gun?
Yeah, one bullet got it.
Look here, Max. I thought you was kidding like I done. You don't really mean it. Say you don't.
I wish I could. No, I don't. Carter's dead, and the rat got what he had coming.
Look here, Max. Now, this is serious.
Yeah, I guess it is.
And you ain't helping me much. Here, give me that gun. Sit down and tell me how it happened. Maybe you didn't kill him, huh?
That was the poison in the water. He did it.
What? Carter poisoned the bottle Mary drank from?
He poisoned more than that. He drilled a hole in the pipe and done it.
What? Hey, well, why didn't you tell me this before? Ain't we got justice in this county without you taking the law in your own hands?
I don't know. I know he'd done it. He done more. I had to get even.
No, Max, be careful. I warn you. Everything you say will be used against you. Go on.
He heaped insult to injury. He even come over to my house tonight and talked to Mary.
Carter done that?
Yeah, he done it. I guess I kind of lost my head. I had to do something. I got my gun and I went out, told Mary that I'd be back later.
Wait. I got to get a court stenographer to take this down. Operator.
And I kissed the twins, and they was asleep in their little bed. Then I went out.
Just a minute, Max, just a minute. Operator. Operator's gone just when I got to have her in a hurry. Can you wait, Max?
No, I got to tell this. If you don't want to hear it, well, I'll shut up.
No, Max. Confession don't come in the door every day in the year. Well, maybe you better go ahead and we'll get the court stenographer later.
Now, listen, Sheriff. You listen to me. I went out down the street. Where I was going, I don't know. I passed people people I guess I know.
Mm-hmm.
I found I was coming over to Carter's hotel.
Yeah.
I asked to talk to him alone.
Yeah.
We went into his private office. I said, Carter, you poisoned that water.
Did he admit it?
And he said he didn't do it first, and then he admitted it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I said, I got you now, Carter. You're going to pay for this. And I'll see that you get justice.
Yeah.
He reaches for his gun in the drawer, and I got the drop on him.
Yeah.
He says he guesses the jig's up, and then he asks me if he can pour himself a drink.
Yeah.
And that's where I made my mistake.
You don't say. He got the drop on you?
He threw the drink in my face, blinded me.
Mm.
The next thing I know, the gin bottle hit me on the side of the head, and I went out like a light for a minute.
Yeah. Say, didn't you guys have a fight?
Carter dived for my gun, and I comes up fighting. We went at it hammer and tongs all around the room.
Mm-hmm.
Him throwing everything and me ducking to get away from him.
Yeah.
Carter got the gun. I got a clamp on his arm. He cries, let go. I got enough.
Yeah.
But he gets away and he cracks me over the head with a chair. I'm so dizzy that I'm whirling around my head like a merry-go-round or something. And a gun goes off. I guess I was punch drunk. And when I come to, Carter's laying there flat on his face. And I'm standing there with a smoking pistol in my hand.
Was he dead?
Yeah, he was dead.
Say, Max, now you got yourself into some pretty bad trouble here. Send a man to the electric chair for things like that. Now, maybe you calls it justifiable homicide, but you burn just as crisp for that kind of killing as you do for outright murder.
Yeah, I guess I'm in a bad way.
Yeah.
I got no excuses to make. I don't want to make no excuses. He was a rat and he ought to die. He died.
Yeah, pretty bad, pretty bad. Never did think much of that fellow Carter anyway. Not much loss. Good riddance of bad rubbish. Say, Max, I'll have to do my duty, though. I'll have to lock you up. Got a lawyer handy?
I ain't thinking of a lawyer, Sheriff. Just lock me up.
You need a nightshirt, Max. I'll give you one of mine. Got a nice cell here with room and bath. Now, look here, we better call your wife.
No, Sheriff. Say, will you promise me something?
Well?
Will you keep this from Mary? You're to kill her if she heard it right now.
Well, I don't know, Max. I don't want to do anything to hurt Mary's chances of recovery, but I got to do my duty. Besides, this will all be in the papers by morning. Better break it to her tonight. Easy.
No, Sheriff. Call Daddy Stratford or John Fowler and let them go over and see Mary. Tell her that I'm away on a business trip tonight.
Well, just you say, Max. Oh, I got to get a court stenographer and take down your confession. Gosh, better get busy. Murder case.
Yeah, hurry up, will you, Sheriff?
Yeah.
Get that stenographer and get word to Daddy Stratford. I can't stand here all night.
That's right, for a fact. Now, I better go myself. What'll I do with you, though? Can't take a prisoner, no. Better stay here. Now, look here, Max.
Yeah?
Got to go get this stenographer to take down your confession and notify Daddy Stratford. Can I trust you here?
Yeah, Sheriff. Go on and be quick about it, will you?
Oh.
I'll be here when you come back.
Oh, gee, Mary, we can't hold dinner another minute. Mr. Tilly's been gone 2 hours and everything's cold as ice.
I'm sorry, Viola. I can't imagine what's keeping Max. Oh, that must be him now.
But he's got a key.
He probably forgot it. Run to the door, Viola.
Well, he don't usually ring the doorbell like that.
Oh, Max, is that you? Oh, Max.
Mary.
Oh, Phyllis.
Hello, Mary. How do you feel?
You look grand.
Mary,
Mm-hmm.
Max had to make a quick business trip to Chicago.
A trip to Chicago? Oh, but Phyllis...
I don't know what it is, Mary. Something about the spring water. Maybe he's going to see Danny. All I know is Daddy said I better come over and tell you.
Oh, Phyllis, I don't believe that. It's ridiculous. Max would have to come home for his clothes.
Well, Mary, I came over to get some of his clothes to send him. He said you'd understand. It's something that came up in a hurry.
No, Phyllis. I know Max would come home and see me before he left, no matter how urgent it might be. Phyllis, I believe you're lying to me. What is it?
Mary, you've got to believe me. It's for your own good to believe me.
Phyllis, I know you're lying to me. Why hasn't Max come?
Mary, I can't.
Oh, Phyllis, I've never seen you act this way before. Tell me, what is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Stupid of me to cry now. Mary, Max is in a little trouble. I want you to take it quietly. And don't get excited for Max's sake.
Yes, Philip. Tell me. I'll take it quietly. What's happened to Max?
It's lucky, Phyllis, you didn't tell Mary just how serious is the trouble that Max Tilley is in. There seems no doubt that he'll be charged with murder in the first degree. And as the sheriff says, in that state it means the electric chair. Mary, if you only knew what terrible weeks still lie ahead of you, you'd avoid the message Phyllis may have to tell you tonight. How will Mary take this is the question in every one of our minds. And we can't help but wonder what effect it will have on her present state of recovery. And what about Max? Here he is in jail on a charge of murder. He's given himself up to the sheriff. And from his own story, there hardly seems a speck of evidence to save him from the charge of killing this man Carter. Don't miss a single exciting episode in this, The Life of Mary Sothern, brought you with the compliments and best wishes of Heinz Honey and Almond Cream.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. 2 men have been passing bad checks in your city. You have descriptions of both of them. You know the names on the checks. Your job, get them. First, we read you the 6 months report, then the 8 months report. Now, here is 10 full months of scientific evidence on smoking Chesterfields.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of this group have smoked Chesterfields for an average of over 10 years. After 10 full months, almost a year now, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. And Chesterfield is the first and only premium quality cigarette throughout, in both regular and king size. Fine tobaccos, the world's best, kept tasty and fresh, wrapped in the finest cigarette paper money can buy. Yes, everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette. And it's the only cigarette that gives you scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfield today. They're best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 8th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welsh. My name's Friday. We were on the way back from the main jail, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to room 29. Forgery.
Well, that wraps that one up.
Yeah. When are we going to arraign him?
Oh, figure day after tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's get started on these other crime reports, huh?
Yeah.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
Hi.
See you a minute?
Sure.
Sit down.
What's up, Skipper?
How's the Clemens thing going?
Well, we just talked to him. Says he'll plead guilty.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want you to take a look at this.
Okay. Oh, border checks, huh?
Yeah. I want you two to go to work on it.
Are we going to work with Saunders and Bomey on it?
I want you to take it over.
Well, is there a case in it?
Yeah, but we got a call from San Francisco last night. They got Richards up there.
Oh?
At least they know he's operating in the Bay Area. Saunders and Bomey left last night. They've been on that one for the last year. Looks like they can clean it up. If they get back before you bust this, they'll give you a hand.
Well, what's the pitch on it, Skipper?
It's all there.
Let's take a look, huh, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Sure a bunch of paper.
Near as we can figure, they've been working a little over a year.
Yeah. All the checks are drawn on big companies here. You any idea where they're getting them?
No, not yet.
How far we got on it?
Saunders and Bomey have been working on it. They got about halfway through the list of print shops in the city, and then this thing up north came up.
Mm-hmm. Let me see some of the checks,
Oh,
will you, Joe?
sure, here.
You got rubber companies, oil companies, department stores, aircraft.
How about the ID when they pass them?
It works. Driver's licenses, social security cards, lodge cards. Looks legit enough. Been a lot of people taking.
Descriptions always match, do they?
Close enough, yeah. Now and then there's a little difference, but they all match up close enough. Still using the same bad border.
Uh-huh.
You notice that even though they changed the name of the company on the check, changed the heading all around, they use the same border on all of them.
Yeah, I see.
Look, there in the lower left-hand corner. See?
Yeah. Plate's broken. Little break in the border.
Mm-hmm.
All the checks they pass have the same thing.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't notice it unless you're really looking for it, would you?
Well, that's it. All the reports are there. Everything that's been done. It's in your lap now. Need anything, let me know.
Right. Okay, Skipper, we'll get right on it. Well, from the package here, sure looks like they're scoring good, doesn't it?
How much they got?
Well, let's see. Figures about $70,000.
Huh. All the bulletins we put out. Know the people you cash checks for.
Yeah.
70,000. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Sure is.
If people would just read those bulletins. They never learn, huh?
10:02 a.m. We started through the package. The check forgers had been working for over a year. They'd passed phony checks all over the southern part of the state. The amounts on the checks varied from $50 to $275. They carried 10 different endorsements. The names and signatures had been run through our files, but we'd gotten no identification. The writing had been checked by Don Meyer, but there were no examples in the files that matched. During the next 2 days, we finished canvassing the print shops in the area in an attempt to find where the bad checks were being printed. We came up with no new information. Additional circulars were gotten out to all stores and check cashing agencies in the area, giving the description of the two men and lists of the companies the checks had been drawn upon. Photographs of the checks pointing out the border defect were also distributed. 2 weeks went by. No results. Informants had been checked and rechecked. Known forgers had been questioned. The victims of the forgers had been shown the mug books. They failed to make any identification. From what they'd told us, we had the artist in the crime lab draw up a composite picture of the two men. Copies of these were distributed to the people and organizations most likely to cash the phony checks. Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey finished their investigation up in San Francisco and joined us in the search for the forgers. Tuesday, April 27th, 10:14 a.m. Frank and I checked back into the office.
Lousy thing. Yeah. Clutch was out. You know, I thought it was the pin. Sure felt like it. Funny feeling when you press down, there's nothing there.
Did he say when it would be ready?
I thought he could have it for us in the morning. I'll check the business office and get another car.
We'll try to get a good one, huh? Last one we drew was about to fall apart.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Forgery Friday. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's right. What? Uh-huh. What was that address again? Yes, ma'am, I have it. Yeah. Yeah, well, do everything you can. Yes, ma'am. Right away. And get your coat.
What is it?
Check cashing agency out on Pico. The guy's there now. Frank and I left the office and checked out another car. We drove out to the check cashing agency on Pico. It was located near a large tool and die plant, and they advertised that they cashed payroll checks. 10:33 a.m. We parked the car and went into the store.
You the police?
Yes, ma'am. Are you the one that placed the call?
I sure am. I stalled him like you said. That's him back there.
Uh-huh.
I told him that he'd have to wait for the manager to get back and open the safe. He got pretty huffy about it at first. Then he said he'd wait. I think he's been drinking.
Yes, ma'am. All right, we'll talk to him.
He's the one. You'll see. I spotted him right away. Took one look at him, and I knew he was the one you'd been looking for.
All right, ma'am. Let's go.
Sure fits the description.
He's the one.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You wanted to cash a check, did you?
Yeah, that's right.
What if we could see your identification?
Young lady has it.
Here it is. His driver's license, his social security card.
All right, thank you. Leslie P. Bergen, is that right?
That's what it says.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
What if we could see that check,
You
please?
bet. I'll get it for you.
Well, look, there's no reason to make a federal case out of this. Give me the check and I'll go someplace else. I tell you, though, you act like this to everybody who comes in here, you ain't going to stay in business long.
Yeah.
Here you are, officer. Here's the check.
What's she talking about?
What?
Officer. She called him officer. What are you, cops?
You called it. How about it, Joe?
Yeah, broken border. Where'd you get this check, mister?
What do you mean, where did I get it? They gave it to me at the plant.
Gave you this check, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Say, what's this all about anyway? How come you guys are so interested?
I wonder if we can see what you got in your pockets.
No, I don't have to show you. It's none of your business.
You been drinking, mister?
None of your business. You got no call to act like
All right,
this.
come on, let's see what's in your pockets.
Well, what's that going to prove?
Now, look, Bergen, if you haven't done anything wrong, then you got no reason not to show us, have you?
Yeah? Oh, all right.
Put the things here on the counter, huh?
All right. You guys are going to regret this, you know.
Is that right?
You just bet. I got a lot of friends in pretty high places, and they're going to hear about this. You guys be sorry you ever started this.
All right, come on. You can go a little faster than that, can't you?
All right, here. Here's some keys, change, money clip.
All right, pick up the money and keep that with you. Now, just the money. Now the back pockets.
Back pockets?
That's right. We want to see what's in them, too.
Well, all righty. I'm glad to cooperate with the law. Nice to know you guys are this alert. I'm glad to know you're doing your duty.
Yeah, come on. Let's get to those back pockets, shall we?
Say, what's your name?
Friday.
Cop, huh?
That's right.
Friday, huh? Yeah, what's your first name?
Joe.
Joe Friday.
That's right. Now, come on. Get the stuff out of your back pockets, will you? Stall long
I
enough.
bet you think I'm trying to hide something in there, huh? Well, you're wrong. I got nothing to hide. There's my wallet, comb, that's all.
This key here?
Yeah?
Keys to your car?
No, I don't have a car.
Lord, that's not true, officer. I saw him drive up. That's his car out in front, the red Ford.
Is that right, Bergen?
Well, now, maybe it is, and then maybe again it isn't.
You want to check on it, Frank?
Yeah.
Here's keys.
I hate to think of it, I really do.
What's that?
Trouble you guys are going to get into when my friends in high places hear about this.
Yeah, sure. Let's look at your wallet, huh?
Why, you bet. Always glad to cooperate with the law.
No, you hold it. Just open it up. Any money in it?
I told you the money's in the money clip. Right here, you told me to keep it. You don't remember very well, do
Well, these your cards here? Business cards?
Let me see.
Here.
Yeah, certainly, they're mine.
Leslie Paul Bergen, business advisor. I thought you said you worked at the plant.
Part-time job. What's your name?
Friday.
What's your first name?
Joe, I told you.
Joe Friday, huh? I'd remember that and tell my friends in high places.
How about your coat pockets? Anything in them?
Well, cigarettes, maybe handkerchiefs, matches, that's about all.
All right, let's see them.
All righty. Sure nice to know that we got officers like you, always doing your duty. Here, see? Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you say you got this check?
What check?
This one here, the one you tried to cash.
Oh, yeah, that check.
Yeah, that check. That's the one.
Well, I got it from a friend. He asked me to cash it for him. Just so happened I had the money, so I did. Anything wrong with cashing a check for a friend?
How come the check's made out to you?
They always make checks out to me. Always do down at the plant.
Now, look, mister, you got your stories all mixed up here. Let's go downtown and get this thing straightened out, shall we?
Joe?
Yeah.
We hit it. 23 checks all made out to him. Found him in the glove compartment of the car. The car's registered to a Leslie R. Doyle.
What's his name?
Smith.
First name?
Frank Smith.
What is this?
No, he's a happy drunk.
Oh.
These checks yours, Doyle?
Well, let me see. Never saw those in my life.
Well, we found them in your
Oh,
car.
I certainly don't understand that. In my car?
Yes, that's right. Now, come on, let's go downtown.
Where are we going?
Downtown.
What's your name?
Smith. Frank Smith.
Phony name. You wait till my friends hear about this, policeman using your alias. My friends are going to hear about this, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in high places.
10:57 a.m. The suspect admitted that his true name was Leslie Doyle and that the car belonged to him. We took him to the city hall. Frank ran the name through R&I, but we got no make on him. His prints were rolled, but there was no record on him. A communication was gotten off to George Brereton, CII Sacramento, and one was sent to Washington. 11:30 a.m. We took him to the interrogation room to question him.
I told you, I don't know where the checks came from.
They were found in your car.
So they were found in my car. That mean they're mine?
Looks like you had something to do with it. They all were made out to you, the phony ID you got there.
Well, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's somebody's idea of a gag.
Well,
huh?
that's not very funny, is it, Doyle?
Well, you don't have to tell me. Say, you got another aspirin. My head's coming apart.
Frank, you got
Yeah. Here.
Yeah, thanks. Got some water?
I'll get some for you.
No, never mind. I'll take it without. Thought you might have a tap here.
What?
Sure. You turn it on and let it drip, and then you don't give people none until they answer your questions.
Yeah, sure.
You take pills like I do, you get to the point where the only important thing is to get them in your stomach.
All right. Now, how about the checks, huh?
I told you 100 times I don't know anything about them.
Then maybe we better fill you in, huh?
Yeah, go ahead. I like to hear.
We got you for trying to pass a check this morning, didn't we? You want to cop out to that?
So maybe one check. Like I said, that's no crime. I cashed it for a guy. Maybe it was the same guy who planted the other ones.
Oh, why don't you come off it, Doyle? Let's stop playing games here. We made you for the forgeries, and you know it. Your description matches the one we got. You turn up with 23 checks made out to you, all drawn on different companies. The border on the checks matches the ones we're looking for. We got witnesses who identify you. Now, why not save a lot of time and admit it? Come on, Doyle. Doyle?
Don't look like there's any other way, does it?
Not from here.
Well, if I cop out, will it help any?
What do you mean?
Like you said, now let's stop playing games. Will it help me out any?
You're liable for 1 to 14 on each count.
And if I help?
All we can do is see that it's marked down that way.
That's all?
That's all.
Well, then I got nothing to lose by not talking.
That's the wrong way to look at it.
You guys haven't come up with any other way.
We don't make deals, Doyle. You know that.
Well, all right. I'll play it that way, too.
Now, let's get this 510, huh? Your true name, Leslie Richard Doyle?
Yeah.
Charge, suspicion 470 PC, forgery, April 27. Where do you live, Doyle?
I told you once.
Well, tell us again, would you?
19,540 North Edgehill Avenue.
Is that a private home?
No, it's an apartment.
What's the number?
Say, you got another aspirin. This headache's the worst one I ever had.
Don't worry, they're going to get worse. We continued to talk to Doyle. He told us that he'd come from back east about a year and a half ago. He said that he'd never been arrested and he had no record. He refused to tell us who his confederate was in the forgery operation, and he told us that we'd get no help from him in proving that he was mixed up in it. We booked him at the main jail, and then we got in touch with Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey. Together with them, we arranged a special show-up. The victims of the forgers were asked to be present, and 12 of them gave us a positive identification of Doyle as the man who'd victimized them. The others said that he was not the man. When confronted with this information, Doyle confessed to being one of the men involved, but he still refused to name his accomplice. A week went by. Each day we questioned Doyle. Gradually, we pieced together a picture of their operation. Doyle still refused to tell us where we could find his partner. The kickback from Washington and Sacramento arrived, but gave us no new information. All known friends and associates of Doyle were checked out. From them, we found out that Doyle did work with another man, but that none of the witnesses could identify him. The rumble was that the two men had split up because of Doyle's drinking. We were able to get little other information on the missing partner. Wednesday, May 5th, 11:40 a.m. Frank and I checked into Captain Welsh's office.
How about it?
No, nothing, Skipper. He says that he knew Doyle, but he doesn't know the other man.
Any of the other leads pan out?
No, none of them.
Where do you go from here?
Well, talking to Doyle's friend, we found out they used to hang out down there on Wilshire and Olympic. You know that area down there?
Yeah.
Well, Frank and I have been talking it over. Looks like about the only way to bring him out is to go looking for him.
Well, so you guys go down there, huh?
Well, we checked on that. The bunch down there aren't too chummy. They don't talk to strangers much, so we figured that maybe the best idea would be for one of us to go undercover. Maybe pose as a thief, buy our stolen goods, something like that. We might get a line on them that way.
Yeah, might work.
Well, not much choice now. We've tried about everything else.
Well, which one of you is going to do it?
Well, I thought maybe I'd be the one.
No, I don't know if that's such a good idea.
Why not, Skipper? Joe took the last one.
Yeah, but didn't you work that area when you were in Vice?
Yeah, but that was a couple of years ago.
Still might be some people down there who remember you. You better take this one on Friday.
All right.
When do you figure to start?
I thought in the morning.
Okay, work out the way you're going to keep in contact. All the details will give you the help you need to swing it.
Right, Skipper.
I don't know, Joe. Seems like you're always the one to draw this duty. Ought to be my turn sometime.
I'll trade with you.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Smokers all over America are changing to Chesterfield because Chesterfields are premium quality throughout in both regular and king size.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. That's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There's absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. First and only cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Thursday, May 6th, 9:30 a.m. I left my apartment and went down to the vicinity of Wilshire and Olympic. I spent an hour wandering around the bars in the area, and then I checked into a small hotel down on South Hill. I registered as Joe Kelvin from Phoenix, Arizona. I told the clerk that I was in town on business and that I'd be there as long as it took me to conclude the deal I was working on. I spent the afternoon in a bar on 4th Street, and I got friendly with the bartender. I asked him if he knew Leslie Doyle, and he told me that he'd seen him around, but that he didn't know him very well. I asked if he'd ever seen Doyle with another man. He said that he had, but he didn't know who he was. The bartender went on to say that the two men had frequent arguments, and that they usually ended up with the other man walking out and Doyle going on a drunk. He told me that I might be able to get some additional information on the man in a cafe over on 5th Street. I spent the next 3 days wandering around that area, eating my meals in the restaurant. At the end of that time, I had no new leads. Frank, Saunders, and Bomey were still working on the case, and Frank told me that the bad border check passing was still going on. Further conversations with Doyle netted them nothing. At the end of a week, I'd gotten to know one of the waitresses at the restaurant, and she indicated that she knew Doyle's partner, that she knew him merely as Mac. She was unable to tell me where I could find him. I got in touch with Frank Smith, and he ran the name through the moniker file at R&I, but he got no make. Friday, May 14th, 10:56 a.m. I stopped for breakfast.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Agnes.
What'll it be this morning?
Well, let's see. Orange juice, couple of eggs, toast, and coffee. Huh?
Eggs sunny side up?
Yeah. How's the bacon?
Great, just like always.
All right, couple of pieces.
Yeah.
Want to bring the coffee right away?
Yeah.
Is that the morning paper? Here?
Yeah.
Thank you. What happened to the sports page?
Here. You don't look good this morning, Dad and I.
Yeah. I had trouble getting to sleep last night.
Mm-hmm. How's the deal coming?
Oh, all right. I should wind it up in a couple of days.
What business you in, anyway?
Oh, you could call me kind of a broker, I guess.
That right?
Yeah. Coffee's been hot.
Yeah. Just what does that mean?
What, the coffee?
Being a broker.
Oh, I buy things for a price and I resell them for more.
Things you buy. They hot?
Well, why do you ask that?
Just wondered. Rumbles around that you're in town buying stolen stuff.
Is that right?
That's what they say. Is it true?
I don't know. I haven't been talking to the same people as you.
That the reason you want to get in touch with Mac?
Well, look, if I answer that, I've answered the first question, haven't I?
Yeah. That the reason, Joe?
Oh, it might be. Where's the sports page? Is it around? Why, do you know where I can get in touch with him?
I like you, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think you're nice, too. I'd like to have the sports page if you could find it for me.
No, I mean it. I think you're all right.
Well, thanks, Agnes. That's nice of you to say that.
You've never tried to get fresh. Different from most of the guys that come in here.
Is that right?
Sure. Guys all the time getting fresh, asking me out. Not you, Joe. You got a girl in Phoenix?
Oh, I might have, yeah. I haven't been back for a while, you know.
Mm-hmm. Lucky girl. What's she like, Joe?
Who's that?
Girl in Phoenix.
Oh, I guess she's a little like you. She's a nice girl.
You want to get married?
Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on this deal here I'm working on.
It'd be nice if you got married. I'm going to get married someday.
That'll be nice.
It'd be real nice if you got married. Depends on this deal, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'll tell you how to get in touch with Mac.
11:14 a.m. I continued to talk to Agnes. She told me that she didn't know where Mac lived, but that she could put me in touch with a man who might. She gave me the address, and I drove over to the place. It was a rooming house on South Vermont. I talked to the man, and he told me that he'd seen Mac during the past week, and that as far as he knew, the suspect was still living in an apartment house on 7th Street. 1:15 p.m. I called the office, and Frank Smith came out to meet me. We arrived at the apartment house and talked to the manager, Mrs. Nancy Holmes. She told us that she had a tenant named McLean who answered the description we gave her. She told us that McLean had lived in the apartment for the past 8 months. She went on to say that she didn't know what business he was in, but that up until a few weeks ago he was in the company of a man called Doyle. Her description of the man matched that of the suspect. 2:46 p.m. In the company of the manager, we went through McLean's apartment. We found 14 checks made out to him, and all of them drawn on large companies. All of them had the same broken printed border. Frank and I waited for him to return. 5:32 p.m.
What are you doing here?
Your name Gene McLean?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers.
These checks here.
Where'd you get those?
On the desk over there.
You got no right to go through my things.
We'll talk about that downtown. Come on, let's go.
Now, look, maybe you guys made a mistake, huh? Maybe you got the wrong fella. Can't we work something out? This is a pretty good thing. There's enough for everybody. I'm sure we can make a deal, huh? No reason to act like this.
Where's the press, mister?
Huh?
The press you print these up on, where is it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about a press. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It won't work, McLean. We got Doyle.
What's he told you?
All we need.
Well, then he's told you where the press is, too.
We're asking you about that, mister.
Well, like I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
You drive a car, McLean?
Yeah.
Where'd you park it?
On the street. No garages in this crummy place.
No, that's not true, Mr. McLean.
Oh, keep your nose out of this. You've been spouting off too much already.
That's not true, Mr. McLean. I heard everything from the hall. These officers asked me some questions, and I answered them. Police have never given me any trouble. 10 years I've been managing this place. Never had no trouble before. Now you come in here and louse things up.
Turn it off. Come on, let's get out of here.
Now, you just wait a minute. Come in here and call this a crummy place. You didn't know I heard you, did you? Well, I did. Listen, officer, he's lying when he says he doesn't have a garage. He may keep his car out on the street. Maybe that part's true, but he's got a garage. You just bet he has.
Come on, let's get out of here. Stick around here and listen to this loony old bag. She's cracking up.
Where is the garage, ma'am?
I'll show you. It's just down the street. It's an old place. They rent it from the Pearsons, just down the street. I'll show you.
Crummy old bat. Real harpy. Sticking her nose in where it don't belong.
Don't you talk to me like that. I don't know what it is that these officers are looking for.
Yeah.
But I'll just bet they'll find it there.
6:27 p.m. Mrs. Holmes showed us down the street to a garage set behind a large house. The door was locked, but McLean produced the key. We went over the place, but we found nothing. 6:55 p.m.
Satisfied now? Told you there wasn't anything wrong. I told you you wouldn't find anything here.
It's got to be here someplace, Joe.
Yeah. How long you had this place, McLean?
A couple of months.
Now, we can check the owner on that.
Aren't you guys ever going to give up? You maybe got me in custody, but that don't mean you're ever going to be able to prove anything.
I think maybe we'll be able to.
Joe.
Yeah.
Take a look here. On the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Look here, see the old wooden floor, and most of the nails are all rusted over. And right here, they look pretty new. Looks like the wood's been moved.
Mm-hmm. How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Grab that hammer, will you, Frank, over there?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
All right. Now maybe we can take a look.
You guys are wasting your time. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's our time. Don't you worry about it. You want to give me a hand here, Frank?
Yeah.
All right. You got it?
I got it.
All right.
It's all dug out down there.
Yeah. Let's take a look. There's something down there. How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The press, huh?
Yeah. Wait a minute. A package over here. Let's see what's in it.
Look, you got no right to come in here and tear up the place. I'm going to see a lawyer about this.
How about it, Joe?
Yeah. Printing press. Take a look.
Huh. Engraver's plates. Look, here's the broken border.
Yep. All right, McLean, let's go.
You just wait. My lawyer's going to hear about this.
Is that right?
Yeah, you bet it's right. Come in here, tear up the floor. You got no warrant, you got no right. Sick of being shoved around by you guys.
You haven't got any beef, McLean.
I'll decide that.
No, you're wrong.
Huh?
Man. Somebody else is going to do that.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 25th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, here are two important things to remember. Everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette, and it's the only cigarette that gives scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfields today. They're best for you.
Leslie Paul Doyle and Jean Rowell McLean were tried and convicted of 10 counts of forgery. They received their sentences as prescribed by law and are now serving their term in the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment in the State Penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, with long-range aircraft and atomic bombs, the enemy is only hours away from where you live. Our Air Defense Command relies on radar to detect enemy aircraft. But it is possible for low-flying planes to remain undetected. You can help defend America by volunteering for the Ground Observer Corps, a group of civilian men, women, and teenagers who report the presence and activity of aircraft. For information, Write or phone your nearest Civil Defense Center.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Artie Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Art Gilmore, Whit Connor. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the material and quotations used on the following program are taken from authentic news reports off the wires of Associated Press and International News Service. We present this material without editorial comment, since this station takes no official stand on any controversial question. We can, therefore, assume no responsibility for the attitude such statements reflect.
From San Francisco, the American Broadcasting Company presents 1 out of 7. "24 hours make a day, 7 days make 1 week. And from these past 7 days, the editors here in our San Francisco newsroom have chosen the one story which they have judged most worthy of retelling. This is 1 out of
7. We're not here to tell you what is good or what is evil, or to tell you what is right and what is not right. Being only men as you are, and thus being as moral or as immoral as you are, we refuse to mount the seat of judgment to pass sentence on those as guilty or as innocent as we claim ourselves to be. Now, we ask only that you pause, observe, and reflect. You have an intelligence of your own. Judge these actions for yourself. Last week, beneath the spacious skies of America the Beautiful, in the valleys of the amber grain and the fruited plain, and in the city towers looming high with the majesty of purple mountains, the people rejoiced and rededicated themselves in a nationwide Brotherhood Week. Lofty and ideal were the speeches of Brotherhood Week. Stirring and altruistic were the pledges and promises of Brotherhood Week. Godly and charitable were the aims of Brotherhood Week. But there are 2 families in San Francisco who are asking questions. 2 families. City desk, Martin.
Say, boss, here's a pretty fair yarn on an eviction case. You want it?
Yeah, sure. What's it all about?
Well, it seems there's a gentleman out in one of the residential districts who objects to the presence of a Filipino family in the neighborhood. There's also a Chinese family living nearby that, it doesn't appeal to him either.
Yeah, go on.
Well, this gentleman says that the fact that these 2 families are living near him detracts from the value of his property.
Well, what's the matter? Does he have something against them?
Oh, no, nothing like that, boss. He just says that when he moved there, he was told that it was a neighborhood for white people. White people only. One of those restricted deals, you know? Well, now he's filing suit to have them evicted. Says he's losing money if they stay.
What about the 2 families? What have they got to say?
Well, they're plenty burned up about it. They're organizing, yeah, to fight the Neighbor Boosters Club who's behind this gentleman. One of the members of the Filipino family is he's a Navy veteran, and he gave me a pretty good quote.
Well, go ahead. Let's have it.
Okay, boss. He says, "Is this what we've been fighting for? To have a bunch of stay-at-homes throw us out of our house?"
No, we're not here to tell you what is right and what is wrong. We wish merely to report that last week the nation observed Brotherhood Week. In the churches and town halls throughout the country, the people rededicated themselves to the principles of tolerance and charity of the Founding Fathers. Columbia, Tennessee. A little more than 24 hours ago, the worst racial disorder in years, brought about by rumors of threatened lynching of Negroes, sweeps the city. 500 highway patrolmen raid a 2-block area in the Negro section of the town where the non-white are carefully segregated. Armed with pistols and machine guns, the huge force of police search every Negro building in the area. Under the command of the State Director of Public Safety, the patrolmen fire withering blasts through the windows of the homes of the buildings. Groups of the Negroes huddle behind barricaded doors, answer the machine gun fire with 2 or 3 scattered shots. More than 40 Negroes are arrested during the raid. The State Director of Public Safety describes the police exploit as a success. The origin of the bloody race riot is not clear, but it is reported that it started when a Negro woman and her son had a fight with a Navy veteran. The Negro couple were arrested, and it was then, according to one Negro, that the lynching rumor fired the town. Isn't that right? Well, we heard that the white men were going to have a lynching party tonight, and, well, we didn't like that. We didn't want any killing to start again.
And so, brethren, let us again renew our faith in Christian charity, in the principles of brotherhood that Christ himself handed down to us. And let us again resolve to act and live by the precept that we are all brothers, regardless of the color of our skin or the creed we profess, that we are all brothers in the house of the Lord.
We're not here to pass judgment on what is good and what is evil. We wish merely to report that last week, in a nationwide celebration marked by pledge and promise, the people observed the annual custom of Brotherhood Week. In a large eastern city, time, Thursday of last week. A Jewish newspaper editor and his family stand outside their burning home, huddled in firemen's capes against the cold of the early winter morning. I'm from headquarters, Mr. Byrne. I heard about how the fire started in your house. Do you expect anybody or suspect anybody in particular? Well, no. I could not tell you the name of the man. I don't think I know him. But lately I've been receiving phone calls and a few letters, too, warning me about the editorials I've been writing in my district newspaper. Well, what were those phone calls and letters all about, Mr. Byrne? Well, they said I was trying to make our district into a ghetto and a Negro colony because I've been opposing a drive by the neighborhood club to keep out all the Jews, Negroes, Italians, Chinese. I think you know, officer. You must have heard. Yeah, I've heard, Mr. Byrne. I guess this is their answer, huh? Yes. Tonight there was another telephone call, and then about 1 o'clock, while my wife and I were...
All right, George. Light the torches and let them fly. We'll teach that Jew a lesson he won't forget. Come on, let's get out of here.
You see, it is not our place to pass sentence on the incident. For we're only men as moral or as immoral as you are, or as they are. We wish only to point out that last week was Brotherhood Week. Several appropriate speeches were made, and the people as a whole pledged themselves to tolerance and charity. The annual observance was acclaimed a success. throughout the nation, priests and ministers. This is a story which probably will not receive the circulation it deserves. It concerns an incident which occurred last week at a southeastern Navy station here in the United States. And if my guess is right, it should give many a citizen cause to stop and ponder the worth and aims of our lately won victory. It all happened in one of the mess rooms at this particular Navy base where a group of officers... Now, look, I don't care what anybody says. It's all the fault of the Jews. Now, look, I was in the Pacific, yeah. And all the time we're sweating it out over there, the big Jews back in the States are demanding that we defeat Germany first, while the men in the Pacific starve and sweat it out. Now, oh, no, you can't tell me a thing about those Jews, brother. I know exactly what they're like. You can have them. I beg your pardon, Commander. I'm a Jew, and I think you're very mistaken in what you say. Well, now listen here, Mr. Goldstein. You're a lieutenant. The Constitution may say that I have to serve in the same Navy with Jews, but there are no Navy regulations that say I have to eat at the same table with them. Now, you other gentlemen will excuse me. Last week was Brotherhood Week. Last week was Brotherhood Week. Down through the rain, down through the wet, glistening street he came, his head bared, his frayed coat collar pulled tightly around his neck, a wide, ugly cut on his forehead, still bleeding, a monstrous bruise covering the side of his face. But strangely, I noticed he walked straight up, his head high. He came up and he stood beside me at the bus stop. And after a while he said, You are wondering about me. Is that not so? This cut on my head and this bruise on my face? Why, yes, as a matter of fact, I was wondering about... Yeah, well, it looks like a pretty nasty cut, mister. Tell me, how'd you get it? Well, it all happened so suddenly, I still cannot remember everything. I try. Tonight, like every Wednesday night, we have our meeting down in the hall on the west side of the city, you know? Yeah, I know where that hall is. Well, on Wednesdays, the people who are of my race, well, we all meet together to learn about our new country, to study the language, and to try to be better Americans. But tonight, we have some visitors. They are a group of men, and they say, we cannot stay here because this town is for people of their race only. We say we will not go. And then there is a big fight. The men wreck our clubroom, they smash our furniture, and they fight with us. They tell us in loud voices, get out, stay out. But we fight back because we know the laws. The laws say these men are wrong. Oh, but the laws, they are not everything, are they? Well, no, they're not, mister. You'll find that out. Yes, we have found it out already. There are many things different about America than first I thought. Well, now, I must cross the street to the church. Would you like to come with me? I do not pray, you know. But I like to stand there in the church and say these things. It makes me feel better inside here after what has happened tonight. Well, I crossed the street with him and I went into the church. We sat down in one of the pews far back in one of the dark corners of the church. A few candles flickered uncertainly up at the altar. And after a long moment, he turned to me and he said, I do not hate these men who do such things. I am not bitter against them. Only I have so much pity for them. For is it not true? They are like frightened little children, afraid, running around looking for an enemy to fight. Anybody. But they do not see the real enemy
he is inside them. Oh, they hate us. Yes, they hate us. But really, they do not know why. They would kill us. And then they would look down at our bodies, and they would feel like little children who had just broken their toys. They see only the difference of color or language. And they become angry because we are not as they. Oh, it is so sad. And that is why I have so much pity for them. So blind. They are so blind. The sun is there waiting for them, shining warm and full over everybody, but their eyes are still closed, and all they can see is the darkness.
The script for 1 out of 7 is written by James Edward Moser. Gil Dowd is the producer, and music is by Otto Clare at the Hammond organ. All characters in tonight's performance were portrayed by Jack Webb. Listen next week, same time, same station for
1 out of 7.
Mark Jordan speaking. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young woman tells you that her mother has disappeared. There's no trace of her whereabouts. Foul play is suspected. Your job? Investigate. First, we read you the 6-month report. Then the 8-month report. Now, here is 10 full months of scientific evidence on smoking Chesterfields.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of this group have smoked Chesterfields for an average of over 10 years. After 10 full months, almost a year now, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. And Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size. Fine tobaccos, the world's best. Costly moistening agents to keep them always tasty, always fresh. And the finest cigarette paper money can buy. Yes, everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette. And it's the only cigarette that gives you this scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfield today. They're best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 5th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 10:46 a.m. when we got to 4298 North Estrella Street. The front door.
Hot.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yes, Mrs. What's her name?
Randall, Ella Randall.
Mm-hmm. Did she say what this was about?
I just said that her mother had disappeared. She wanted to talk to us about it.
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Ms. Randall?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, come in, won't you?
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Warm out. I think I'll leave the door open. Hope the flies don't come in.
My name's Friday, Mrs. Randall. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How you do, ma'am?
Could you tell us just what it is you want to see us about?
Well, of course. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you, Miss Randall.
Would you like some tea or something? I have some ready in the kitchen.
No, thanks.
Just what was it about your mother, Mrs. Randall?
Now that you're here, I guess maybe I could be wrong about it. I was so sure.
Well, just what is it, ma'am?
Well, Mama's gone. I don't know how long it's been, but she isn't with Papa.
Well, what's your mother's name, Miss Randall?
Bertha Schroeder, my father's Henry.
Uh-huh. What makes you think there might be something wrong? You said on the phone that you were pretty sure that something had happened to her.
Well, yes, I guess I ought to start at the beginning. It's kind of a dull story, but maybe it's the best way.
All right, ma'am.
You sure you wouldn't like a glass of iced tea?
No, thanks, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
Mind if I get some? Just take a minute.
All right.
Hey, it's a nice place, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Sure decorated nice. Hey, look at those trivets.
What?
Trivets. Those little things over the fireplace, those brass things.
Yeah.
Faith's been wanting some of those. He used to use them to hold irons, you know. They get hot, and you put them on the ironing board so they won't burn the cloth.
Put them on those things.
Yeah.
I brought a couple extra glasses in case you decided you wanted some.
Well, if you just go ahead with the story, Miss Randall.
Yes, well, to understand it, really, you'd have to know Papa.
Mm-hmm.
He came over to this country when he was just a boy, only about 16 or so. Landed here and couldn't speak more than a dozen words of English. Went to work in New York. Worked as a construction man. Worked hard. Met Mama there, and they got married. Right after that, they moved out here. Bought a house, and Papa went into business for himself.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, maybe it was the life he'd had when he got here. I don't know, but he always treated Mama like she was so much dirt. Mean. Time went on, he got meaner to her. Remember when us kids were in school, he used to yell at her all the time. He'd get in a mood, and he wouldn't talk to any of us for days at a time.
Is that so?
I never knew how Mama took it. She never said anything, just stand there and let him scream at her. And when he was finished, she'd just kind of shrug her shoulders and take his kids out of the house, walk around for a while, and then go back to the house. By that time, Papa was so mad he wouldn't talk to anyone.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Well, all of us kids married young. I got married when I was 16. The rest of the kids weren't much older than that. Papa didn't want us around after that. Said for us to get out and make our own way. Said that we had to. So there's no reason that we shouldn't. You sure you don't want some of this?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Would you mind going ahead, Miss Randall?
Yes. A couple of months ago, I tried to call Mama. The operator told me that the phone had been disconnected.
Beg your pardon?
The operator told me that the phone had been disconnected when I tried to get hold of Mama.
I see.
Now, I waited a couple of days. You know, I figured that maybe she'd call me.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, she didn't. You see, once we were out of the house, none of us went back. Papa's retired, and none of us wanted to see him. It's a terrible thing to say, Mr. Friday, but it's true.
Ma'am?
We all hated him, all of us kids, for what he'd done to us, the beatings and all. But most for what he'd done to Mama. She was only 52, and she looked like she was 92. It was terrible the way he treated her.
I see.
And like I said, we'd never go over there, but Mama come to see us whenever she could. She'd come over, visit for a little bit, you know, talk about the kids and things.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I didn't hear from her, and I got a little worried that maybe she was sick. If she was, I know that Papa wouldn't tell us, so I went over to the old house, and I rang the bell. I was kind of braced because I thought I'd see Papa and there'd be an argument, but there wasn't.
Ma'am?
No argument.
Oh.
Papa didn't answer the door. Some young woman answered it, and I asked if I could see Mrs. Schroeder. Right away, I knew there was something wrong.
Well, how was that, ma'am?
Well, I could see inside the front door. The living room had all been changed around. There was new furniture. It looked like the walls had been painted, too.
Mm-hmm. What did the woman say when you asked for your mother?
She said they didn't live there anymore. Said that they'd rented the house, you know, and that they'd been living there for the past month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at first, I don't think I believed her. I asked her who rented the house to her, and she said Papa did. Then I asked her where he was.
What'd she say to that?
Well, she gave me his address. I went over there to talk to him. It was a little tiny apartment just off La Brea. He said that Mama was gone. I asked him where she'd gone, and he said that she was on a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know him well enough to know that he'd never let her go away. Be no one to darn his socks and keep the house clean.
Yeah?
I wanted to know where she'd gone in this vacation. He said back to the old country. Said she wanted to see her family. He said that they'd gotten a letter from her sister that she was sick and wanted to see Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right then I called him a liar. Told him right to his face that he was lying. I kind of thought that he'd hit the ceiling, but he didn't. He just smiled and said that I'd no call to say anything like that. He asked me why I said it.
What was that? You thought that he hit what?
Well, I thought that he'd hit the ceiling when I said that
see.
to him,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
I called him a liar, I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that if Mama had left, she'd have written, maybe not to me, but to one of the kids. I called around, and when I didn't hear from her, none of the kids had either. They were all worried about her, too.
I see. Well, what did he say to that?
He said he couldn't understand it, so that he'd gotten a letter, that he'd gotten it not more than a day or so before, that she'd arrived safe and was having a wonderful time.
This was a letter.
Yes, this was a letter he got from Mama. Well, I told him I thought he was lying. Then he said that he'd show me the letter.
Well, did he?
Well, yeah, he showed me the letter, but he wouldn't show me the envelope, just the letter. He said he'd thrown the envelope away.
Well, was the letter from your mother, ma'am?
Well, sort of from the words it was. Told all about her trip and how she was enjoying herself. Said that she was with her sister and that she was getting better. And then she went on to tell how much she missed Papa and all.
Uh-huh.
And right away I could tell that it wasn't Mama's handwriting. She never wrote that letter.
Beg your pardon?
I said that I knew it wasn't Mama's writing on that letter.
Yeah, well...
Well, that's when I thought about calling you. Then later I remembered something, and then I made up my mind about calling you.
What was that, Miss Randall?
Well, Mama only had one sister living. She died 3 years ago.
11:13 a.m. We continued to talk to Ella Randall. She told us that she was sure that her mother would not have gone off of her own free will. She said that when she last saw Mrs. Schroeder, she appeared to be in good health and in good spirits. We got the names and addresses of the other children in the Schroeder family. We also got the address of the Schroeder relatives in Europe. Ellen Randall told us that we could find her father at the apartment, and she gave us the address. 12:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to see him.
This is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
Well, maybe so, sir, but we'd like to see the letter that came from your wife. We could.
Officer, I'd like very much to show it to you. Really, I would, but I can't.
Why not, sir?
For the reason that I haven't got it anymore. I destroyed it, burned it a couple of days ago.
Who's your wife staying with, sir?
It was her sister.
Uh-huh. Well, from what we can find out, sir, your wife's sister died 3 years ago. How could your wife be staying with her?
Oh, all right, I suppose I might as well tell you about it. Doesn't seem to be any other way.
All right, sir. Go right ahead.
First off, my wife is not in the old country. She's not with her sister. What you heard is true.
Uh-huh.
Officer, what I have to tell you is very hard to say. I find it hard to find the right words.
That's all right, sir. You just go ahead.
We've been married for 30 years. 30 years, man and wife, and then she did this. Almost broke my heart, officers. Is one of you married?
Oh, yes, sir. My partner here is.
Then you'd know what I mean. You'd know how it is.
Sir?
She left me. Packed her things and left. Didn't give me any reason. Just said she didn't want to be my wife anymore. He said she didn't want to share my roof. Just left. 30 years. All that time, and she left.
Well, what kind of terms were you and your wife on, sir?
What do you mean, this term?
Well, did you and your wife get along all right? Were you happy?
Certainly. As I said, we were married 30 years.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but did you ever have any quarrels?
Sergeant, all married people have quarrels. Maybe the house isn't clean, maybe dinner isn't big enough, maybe the children get too loud. All married couples have quarrels. It's part of living together.
Well, from what we understand, sir, some of the arguments you and your wife had were pretty serious.
The people who said that are liars.
They seem pretty sure.
Liars, that's what they are. Oh, sometimes maybe I forget myself, get a little loud, but serious, never.
How'd you get along with your children, Mr. Schroeder?
My children?
Yes, sir, that's right. How'd you get along with them?
All right, they were a little wild. All children over here are like that, wild. They don't respect their elders, but I got along good.
There seems to be a difference of opinion on that, too, sir. We've heard that you and your children weren't on too friendly terms.
And you believe this? You think that this is true? Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith, these were my own flesh and blood. I loved them, still do. Maybe that sounds hard to believe. I can imagine what you've heard. I know. I've heard about this before. I know who told you. You didn't think I'd know, but I do. It was Ella, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Who told us isn't important, sir?
But it is. You see, this is very hard for me to say. 30 years married, and it is all a mistake. I knew it from the start. She was a shrew, Mr. Friday. I knew it right away, a shrew.
Sure?
My wife, Bertha, almost from the day we were married, she was a nag. All I wanted in life was to do a day's work and come home and read the paper, maybe have a pipe of tobacco. Rest, work, and have my home. Maybe someday when the children were grown, they'd say, Papa was good. He gave us a good house, and he was good. That's all I wanted.
Yes, sir?
Bertha didn't want that. Always wanted more. For the children, she said. When I wouldn't kill myself with work, she'd get angry, talk loud to me. All I wanted was peace. When the children came along, she taught them just like her.
How do you mean, sir?
Told them what a mean man I was. Turned them against me. My own children. Taught them to hate their father. Their own father.
Yes, sir. Well, why didn't you tell your children that your wife left you?
No, Mr. Friday, I couldn't do that. This would break their hearts. They might hate me, but I don't want them to hate their mother. I couldn't do that. The Lord would never forgive me for that.
Have you heard from your wife at all since she left?
Not a word. I made up that letter so the children wouldn't find out. I couldn't have that.
Did she take any money with her? Would you know that?
Yes, she did. We have a joint account at the bank 2 blocks over. She made a large withdrawal the day she left.
Well, Mr. Schroeder, why'd you rent your house?
It was sold by myself. The house was full of Bertha. All the things were hers. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. It hurt me, Mr. Smith. I had to get out, so I came here. It's not much, but I can read the paper and I'll send him a pipe of tobacco. It's peaceful. It's all I need.
Uh-huh. What'd you do with your wife's personal effects?
I don't think I understand, Sergeant.
Her clothes, the furniture from the house, things like that.
They're in storage. I had some men come out and take all of it away, stored it away. I thought that maybe someday Bertha would come back and we could take up where we left off.
Yes, sir. Could you give us the name of the storage company where you left the furniture?
Certainly. It's out on Pico. I can give you the address. Is that important?
No, sir, not really. It's just something we ought to check.
Don't you think it might be better if you told your daughter about all this or about what's happened?
No, Mr. Smith, it wouldn't prove anything. Nothing at all.
Well, that's the way you want it, sir. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's better, Mr. Friday. Believe me, I know. If they hate me, there's not much I can do about it, but I don't want to bring them any unhappiness. I couldn't do that.
Yes, sir.
I'm 65 years old, Mr. Friday. I worked hard all the time, harder than most men. Had 4 children. They're all grown. They have families of their own. All this, and I've got nothing. Nothing but lonely days and empty nights.
Yes.
It's an awful thing, just awful.
Sir?
To work all your life and have nothing to show for it.
1:37 p.m. We got the address of the storage company from Henry Schroeder, and then Frank and I left to go back to the office. At this point, we had 2 stories. Both of them could be true. Both of them could be lies. There was no way of knowing. In the meantime, it was merely a matter of checking. Until it could be proved one way or the other, there was little action we could take. 2:15 p.m. Frank and I checked back into the office, and I put in a call to the storage house. Yes, sir. I'll wait while you're checking it.
I don't know, Joe. Sure seems like the old guy is telling the truth.
Well, we check this out, we'll know one way or the other.
Such a nice little guy. Seems hard to believe that he'd do anything wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What was that? Uh-huh. Could you tell me when? What was the name? Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes, sir. All right. Uh-huh. Thanks very much. No, it's Joe Friday. F-R-I-D. Yeah. That's right. Michigan 5211, extension 2521. Right. All right. Thanks again.
How about it?
He stored the furniture on it.
Yeah.
I remembered him. Talked to him a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Told him to sell everything. We drove out to the storage house and talked to the owner. He said that Schroeder had called them out to pack the furniture, and then he ordered it stored. A week later, he called back and told them to dispose of all the furnishings and personal effects. We called Schroeder's bank, and they told us that there'd been no large withdrawals on the date of her disappearance. Also, she'd drawn no checks since. We got in touch with the other children, and they verified their sister's story. They all said that the father was hard to live with and had on several occasions struck Mrs. Schroeder. They told us that it was possible that she had left her husband, but that she would certainly have gotten in touch with one of them if she had. They said that as far as they knew, Mrs. Schroeder was in good health, and she was in good condition mentally. One of the daughters said that they were planning on a shopping trip to buy school clothes for one of the grandchildren. The woman went on to say that as far as she knew, Mrs. Schroeder would not have left without saying something to her about not being able to keep the appointment. We got in touch with Ella Randall. She said that she would like to accompany us when we talked to the neighbors of the Schroeder woman. She said that she could point out her mother's friends and that she would be able to trace her mother's movements about the neighborhood for us. 4:15 p.m. We picked her up. We talked to the neighbors, and they told us of hearing loud voices coming from the house. They said that Mr. Schroeder was always angry at his wife, and he made no attempt to hide it. 7:30 p.m. We went on to talk to the people who had rented the Schroeder home.
Come on in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Armstrong. It's my partner, Frank Smith. This is Mrs. Randall.
Yes, Mrs. Randall, I've met before. How are you, Mrs. Randall?
How are you, Mr. Armstrong?
Now, what's this all about?
We'd like to ask you some questions about the Schroeders, if we could.
Well, Mrs. Randall here would be able to answer them better for you. They're her parents.
Well, yes, sir. We'd like some information from you, if we could.
All right, go ahead. Don't think there's much I can tell you.
Did you see Mrs. Schroeder when you rented the house?
No, come to think about it, I didn't. Mr. Schroeder talked about her, but I didn't see her when we took the house.
Uh-huh. How'd Mr. Schroeder act when you rented the place?
I don't think I understand.
Well, did he seem upset? Anything at all unusual about him?
As a matter of fact, there was.
What was that, sir?
Well, the house was kind of old. You know, paint missing from some of the woodwork. Some of the paper was a little faded, and we asked him if he planned to fix it up before we moved it. You know, if he'd foot the bill.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Well, right away, I kind of expected an argument. He just seemed like that kind of a guy. You know, who wouldn't spend a nickel he didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't like that. Just smile and say anything that we wanted, he'd have done. Real nice. Sure hasn't caused any trouble. Of course, there's no reason for him to. We pay the rent on time, take care of the lawn, the flowers. I think we're pretty good tenants.
Sure is a difference. Never looked like this when we lived here. I remember that Mama would ask him to paint the place a little. Always raise the roof. Said there wasn't any reason to do it. Said to wait until the kids were grown and appreciated a house.
Not like that with us.
Well, he was with his own family. Even when we were gone, after we left the house, he said that there wasn't any reason to fix the place up. Said that Mama and him were the only people who ever saw the inside of it, and it didn't matter to them.
Like I said, couldn't ask for a better landlord.
Well, I kind of hate to ask this.
Yeah?
Well, I wondered if I could see the rest of the house. I'd kind of like to see what he did to it.
Well, I guess it's okay. It won't take too long. I better eat pretty quick. Got a bowl tonight. Team's playing the league championship tonight.
Just a look. I won't keep you.
Okay. Well, you know the house.
Yes.
This is the living room. Bedrooms are down the hall. This is dining room.
Oh, pretty paper. It made Mama so happy to have this.
Here's a bath.
All new tile. Just beautiful.
Yeah, it makes it nice.
Mm.
It's a master bedroom.
This was Papa's room. Sure is nice. Oh, look at the pretty curtains.
Those are ours. We said he'd put drapes in every one of them, but
Oh.
Sally, it's a wife. She likes curtains.
Uh-huh. I do, too.
Use this for the oldest boy.
This was Mom's room. Oh, it's just beautiful. That's a beautiful carpet.
Yeah, he put that in, too. Didn't even have to ask for that. It's his own idea.
Wall-to-wall carpeting. Mama always wanted it.
The only room in the house that has it.
Do you have a cellar in this house, Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah. We use it for the freezer. Sally puts up canned goods in the summer. Keep them down there.
Wonder if we could see it, please.
Sure, but there isn't any change down there. He didn't do anything to the cellar.
Yes, sir. It's all right, though. We'd like to see it.
Oh, sure. Like to make it fast, though. I gotta eat, you know.
Yes, sir. We understand. It won't take very long here.
Sure, it's down this way. Had to run electricity down there for the freezer. I guess he'd have done it, but it was just an extension cord. Thought about having it done permanently, but no real reason to.
I understand.
I'll go ahead and get the light.
Yes, sir. You want to wait here, Miss Randall?
Why?
Well, no reason, ma'am. We just thought it might be better.
Well, all right. I'll wait in the living room.
All right, thank you. Come on, Frank.
Yeah.
Not very big, just room enough for the freezer and a few shelves.
Uh-huh.
Cement floor, huh?
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah?
You want to swing that light up here? I want to check something here.
Oh, sure.
What's this room under, Mr. Armstrong? I mean, what's above it?
Let's see. That'd be the master bedroom about to there.
Uh-huh.
The room next would begin there.
Uh-huh. That'd be Mrs. Schroeder's room, wouldn't it?
From what Mrs. Randall said, yeah.
Uh-huh. You got a piece of paper, sir? I'd like to get up on the freezer. I don't want to scratch it here.
Why, something you want?
Well, I just like to look. Have a piece of paper, cardboard, anything, cloth?
I don't see any. Go ahead. Just don't scrunch your feet around. He'll be all right.
All right, sir. All right, Frank. Swing the light around, will you?
Yeah. What is it, Joe?
I'm not sure. You got your flash?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay.
What is it? What do you see up there?
We better call the crime lab and get them out here.
What is it?
See through the flooring up there.
Yeah?
Looks like blood.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. All over America, smokers are changing to Chesterfield because Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Well, that's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield.
So remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. First and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
8:14 p.m. The crime lab was called, and they came out to go over the place. A benzodine test was run on the stains, and it was proved that they were blood stains. The carpet in the bedroom was removed, and additional stains were uncovered. Frank and I checked the cellar floor, but it was solid, and there was no evidence that any part of it had been torn up. A preliminary check was made of the yard, but we found nothing. The next morning at 7:58 a.m., we called the crime lab. They'd finished their investigation and told us that the stains were made by human blood. 8:10 a.m., Frank and I drove out to the house to continue our investigation.
Boy, it's going to be a scorcher.
Yeah, it looks that way. Did you check that corner of the yard over there?
Yeah, doesn't look like anything's been disturbed.
Well, let's talk to the neighbors again. There's got to be an answer someplace.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to tell Faye to get me some of those shirts with the holes in them.
What do you mean, holes in them?
You know, like they wear back east. Little bitty holes between the material. That way you don't get so hot.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute, Joe.
What?
There's something on the grass over there by the rose bed.
Oh, it's probably a locket or something one of the kids dropped, a toy, maybe.
Yeah, I'll get it. Give it back to Armstrong.
What do you got?
Piece of dental bridge work. Looks like it's been in a fire.
The crime lab was called, and they went over the backyard. They checked the incinerator, and under a large heap of ashes, they found several pieces of bone. They took a sample of the ash back to the lab to examine it. We got in touch with the daughter, Mrs. Randall. We got the address of Mrs. Schroeder's dentist. Frank and I drove out to talk to him. We showed him the piece of dental bridge work that we'd found, and he identified it as positively belonging to Mrs. Schroeder. He showed us the card from his files, which gave the date that he'd installed the bridge. 11:56 a.m. We called the crime lab, and Lieutenant Lee Jones told us that the ash and the particles of bone that he'd recovered could be of human origin. 12:15 p.m. We drove out to the apartment and took Henry Schroeder into custody. We talked to him in the interrogation room.
I don't understand all this. None of it makes any sense.
Well, it's pretty simple, Schroeder.
Simple? You say that I killed Bertha, and you say it's simple. How can you say that? Why do you say that? You must have a reason. I've told you all I know.
A couple of things you didn't tell the truth about, sir.
What?
You said that just before your wife left you, she made a large withdrawal from your account, didn't you?
That's right, she did. She did take some money.
Well, in checking your bank account, we found no record of any such withdrawal.
You've got no right to go through my bank account. You've got no right.
This is a murder investigation, Schroeder. We've got a right to clear it up.
But she did take the money. She did. You've got to believe me.
It's a little hard to do, Schroeder. Since your wife disappeared, she hasn't drawn any money out of your account. Before that, she drew checks to pay the local store bills. Now, how do you explain that?
I can't. I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to get me to say.
We're trying to get you to say the truth, that's all.
But I am.
You said you put all the furniture from your house in storage. Now, is that right?
Yes, I said that.
Mm-hmm. You said you wanted to keep it in case your wife came back and you two started all over again?
Yes, that's the truth.
We checked the storage company. They told us you called them and ordered everything sold. Told them to sell it as soon as possible. Now, how do you explain that?
You're getting me so confused, I can't think.
And we checked the house, the one where you and your wife lived. We found bloodstains, lots of them. They're human blood.
I don't know. I don't know.
People who live there now said that you put a carpet over the floor. Only room in the house that has a carpet. They say it was your idea.
I can't think. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, here's a report here. Take a look at it. It's a list of the things we found in your incinerator. Things that were burned. Now, do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it to you? How about it, Schroeder?
Schroeder?
I didn't mean it. 30 years. 30 years married. I didn't mean to do it. I came home late. Real late. I'd been drinking. We had words. I hit her. I don't know what happened. I knew what I was doing. I kept hitting her. Then she was dead. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to. She turned the kids against me. Turned everybody against me. 30 years married. She turned everybody against me.
I'm afraid you got it wrong, mister.
Huh?
You did that yourself.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 10th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, remember this. Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size. And Chesterfield is a cigarette that gives scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. So try Chesterfields today, either way, regular or king size. Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Henry Rudolph Schroeder was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, June Whitley, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. It all started on the bus just outside of Dallas. The sailor who had snored beside me since Memphis got off, and the big fat guy got on. He overflowed into my half of the seat, and for sound effect, he ate one apple after another. He must have bought him to the sack. Hey, fella, do you mind? My top coat? Oh, I'd like to have it pressed, but I prefer a tailor to do it. I pulled the coat out from under him. He smashed my carton of cigarettes almost flat. From then on, I held the coat in my lap. In my mind, he was symbolic of everything connected with this trip and with my life. Second rate, middle class, mediocre. I was on my way to Hollywood. Yeah, I'm an actor. Under personal contract to Henry Slafta, a big director. Oh, it sounds impressive, but it isn't. One of those insignificant stock contracts with short options and shorter dough. I should have turned it down, but I was flat broke, on my heels. That's why, when I found the money, I did what I did.
Okay, folks, we're stopping here for 15 minutes.
Another stop, chance to stretch. Well, I had a cup of coffee and a spud nut in the depot, and I was starting back to the bus when I saw him, my apple-chewing friend. Two men with cop written all over them were leading him out of the bus. It was a pinch. I wondered why they picked him up. I really didn't care why they took him as long as he didn't come back. Now I had the seat to myself. But he'd done me a final courtesy. He'd knocked my top coat onto the floor and walked on it.
Okay, everybody on, let's go.
From then on into El Paso, he was the topic of conversation.
You look like you never know the news, my dear. Didn't you hear what the bus driver says? The man's a counterfeiter, one of the smartest ones in the country. The police have been asking crazy. Counterfeiter? How exciting. I must get off at El Paso and send a postcard back to man. Won't you do film for me?
Counterfeiter. Well, that's the last thing I would have pegged him for.
El Paso.
El Paso. And Hollywood still 24 long hours away. Well, economy or no economy, I wasn't going to go on. I was dead tired, saddle sore from 3 days and nights on that bus. So I switched my ticket to the following day, and I hunted up a cheap hotel. The bellhop there was full of helpful ideas on how I could spend the evening.
Well, how about Juarez, mister?
Juarez, huh?
Yeah, old Mexico, just across the International Bridge.
Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten that this is a border town. No, thanks. I just want to get some sleep.
Sure, mister. It's up to you.
I tipped the kid and stretched out on the bed. I dug in my pocket for a cigarette, but I was out, so I reached into my top coat for the carton. That's when I found it. A package of money. A lot of money. All in 50s and 100s. Nice, clean, fresh bills. I counted them fast. $15,000 worth. So that's why I found my coat on the floor of the bus. Fatso had stashed his homemade money in my pocket. Why, the lousy... I'd fixed his wagon, planning it on me. Operator, give me the FB. No. No, never mind. Wait a minute. Why should I? If I turned it in, I might get involved, and I couldn't afford to. When I got to Hollywood. Boy, what an entrance I could make into that town if all this dough were only real. I could just picture the look on Henry Slafter's face if I flew into Hollywood with a new wardrobe, stopped at the Ambassador, took a suite, made a big splash. Yeah, if only the dough were real. Well, I couldn't sleep now. I was too stirred up, so I took a shower and changed my clothes and went out. I didn't have anything particular in mind, but since the hotel was near the International Bridge, I went over into Juarez. And I wasn't quite sure why I did it, but in my pocket was one of the $50 bills. I went up and down the cheap main drag, sampling tequila and brushing off vendors of Hirachis and leather dolls, just like the rest of the tourists. But all the time, that $50 bill was burning a hole in my pocket. It was in a small bar, a crummy place called El Serape, that I finally took a chance. I'd had a couple of tequila daisies, and each time I'd given the waiter a $50. This time I handed him the $50 bill. I held my breath. Suddenly, I knew I'd been a fool. He didn't put it in the cash register as he had the other money. Instead, he went down to the end of the bar and handed it to a man sitting there, obviously an American. He took it, looked at it, and then had the waiter point me out. I got up out of the booth and started for the street, but the American caught me at the door.
I'm, Chuck Rice. I'm the manager.
Yeah. Hiya.
You give this $50 bill to the waiter?
Yeah. I guess I forgot to wait for my change, huh?
You don't want to go around forgetting money like this. This business?
Yeah, sure.
You know, you're taking a big chance. You're setting yourself up like a pigeon.
Oh, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Don't get excited, amigo. Border town, that's all. The wrong people might get the idea that you're carrying more bills like this.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Yeah, sure. But if you were, I could put you in touch with most anything. Maybe a little gambling. I could fix you up with a little game. Anything you want to buy, I can get it for you.
No, I don't want to buy anything. But suppose I wanted to sell something.
Sell? That's a little tough. I'd have to see a sample.
You got it, mister, right there in your hand. I was taking a crazy chance, but I'd kicked around Broadway long enough to know a contact man when I went into one, and Chuck Rice was definitely shady. He stood there scowling, turning the bill over and over in his hand.
Oh, so that's why you wanted to walk out on your change, huh? Thought I had it spotted. You got more like this?
Yeah.
On you?
No, I'm not that much of a pigeon.
How much more?
Enough.
You want to dump it?
Maybe. With the right kind of a deal.
Here's your 50 back. I don't know from nothing about this kind of commodity.
Well, I didn't pay for the drink.
It's all right, somehow. Your money's no good here.
I took the 50 and put it in my pocket. I shrugged and hoped my indifference went over. I was almost to the street when he called after me.
Hey, amigo.
Huh?
I just wondering. How much you got?
Why?
Well, if you got enough, maybe Nieves would be interested.
Nieves? Who's Nieves?
Down here, we don't ask questions like that. You go to the cab stand on the corner. Ask for Miguel. Tell him you want to see Nieves. Tell him Chuck Rice sent you. Only this time, amigo, if you want to do business, you better have the dough on you.
Miguel. Hey, I'm talking to you. What's the idea? You keep going around in circles.
Can't sabe, senor.
Can't sabe my foot. I want to go to Nieves.
Yes, senor. Sí, Nieves.
Well, let's get going. Never mind the sightseeing. Miguel was driving down dark back alleys and dirt roads. I couldn't tell which direction we were going, and I'm sure that was the idea. But we were getting further and further out of town. I was beginning to wish I didn't have the money on me. But I hadn't gone back to the hotel for it when Miguel suddenly pulled off the road into a ruddy gopher-hole courtyard of a broken-down hacienda. It was littered with debris. I stumbled over a peg. His squeals woke a bunch of chickens roosting on a fence. And then I saw it. He was lying in a canvas hammock, one bare foot hanging over the side, deep in the enjoyment of an oversized cigarette. She seemed asleep except for the rhythmic puffs of smoke. She never opened her eyes all the time I was there. Did you have it?
Yeah.
Chuck Rice sent me. He thought we might be able to work out a deal. I got some money. I want to sell it. Chuck Rice said that you might handle it. You hear me?
Yeah.
I got $15,000 American in 50s and 100s.
How much you want?
Well, what do you give me?
How much?
Well, I figured 5,000 would be fair.
No touch.
What?
Is that all you want? I not touch.
Why?
Too hot.
Well, if you think it's worth more.
No touch.
Okay, no touch. Come on, Miguel.
Si, senor. Senor.
Yeah.
O'Toole.
Oh, that?
O'Toole, maybe he buy.
O'Toole? Where's O'Toole?
Miguel, no.
Si, senor. Come, I will take you. Well, your English is improving, Miguel. Maybe your sense of direction will improve, too. And it did. As the crow flies, so did we. Straight to O'Toole's Dine and Dance. The gaudy tourist trap typoed on the outside with neon signs advertising the best food and music in Juarez. While inside, 5 Latin beboppers were making hash out of embraceable you. Miguel okayed me to a squint-eyed character who reluctantly led me down a hall, up a steep flight of stairs. We stopped in front of a door.
Come in.
Behind a huge red lacquered desk sat a handsome Chinese in a dinner jacket smoking a long black cigar.
Good evening. What can I do for you? Thanks, perhaps?
No, no thanks. I came to see O'Toole.
Yes? I am O'Toole.
You, O'Toole?
It's one of those tricks of nature. I wear my mother's face and my father's name.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Well, think nothing of it, Mr. Smith?
Yeah. Smith.
Now, you have something you wish to sell?
That's right.
May I see the money?
Money? How did you know?
$15,000, as I understand it. How much do you want for it?
6,000.
You told Nieves. 5.
Nieves?
Oh, you're surprised. I know about that. Huh? Jack Rice always sends them out to the country to see Nieves before they come to me. Now, let me see the money. All of it.
Sure. Here. Look, I'll take the 5.
I'll give you...
Oh, no, wait a minute. There's 15,000 there. You won't have any trouble passing it in Mexico.
I know that. I also know that when this kind of money turns up in this part of the world, it means only one thing. I am your last resort. Well, Mr. Smith?
Yeah. Give me the 4,000. He went to the safe, got the money, and paid me. I got out of his office. Well, maybe I should have held out for more, but he gave me the creep. Besides, any way you look at it, 4,000's a lot of money. I could knock Henry Slapper's eyes out with less than that. Downstairs in the club, the floor show was on, when the Adagio team was going through its calisthenics. I was just passing the bar when she bumped into me.
Hello, Charlie.
No, I'm not Charlie.
Sure you're Charlie. You gotta be Charlie.
Go on, beat it.
Come on. Don't be a sucker. We're being watched.
Well, so what am I supposed to do?
Be smart. Buy me a drink.
Look, I told you, I'm not interested.
Interested in getting out of here alive?
What kind of a crack is that?
You see Squint Eyes over there by the entrance? Well, he's not the doorman.
Come on, look, what's this all about?
O'Toole. He wants back whatever it is he gave you.
I'll buy you that drink. Come on.
Make it Scotch.
Yeah. Bartender, 2 Scotch and sodas. All right. Now tell me why you're interested.
I'm supposed to knock you out.
You're what?
Those 2 drinks you just ordered. Yours will be loaded. And not with bromoquinine to cure your cold. Ever hear a knockout drop, tourist?
Yeah, sure, but I don't get it. What are you selling me for?
I don't know. Maybe because you're from my side of the border. Maybe because you don't look like the kind of scum that usually comes in this joint.
All right. So my drink's going to be loaded. And Squint Eyes is over to the front door to make sure I don't get away. I don't have much choice, do I?
Yeah, you do. I'm going to help you.
Help me?
After the drink hits you, I'm supposed to get you out the back door into the alley and then roll you.
Well, now, that'll be a big help.
But I'm not going to. Quiet. Here come the drink.
All right, what do I do now?
When I reach around you for the ashtray, they won't be able to see you. Switch the drinks. You drink mine.
Yeah, but how about
They don't expect me to drink it.
Yeah, but you...
No, switch them. Get it down. Drink it. In a minute, pretend you're dizzy. I'll help you get to the alley. And when you get there, you better run, brother. And run fast.
Help me off the stool, put my arm around her shoulder. We were almost to the door, almost to the alley. It was just perfect, except for one thing. I was dizzy. My stomach turned over and over, and I passed out cold.
In just a moment, we will continue with Escape. But first, a lot's been said about the Sunday night entertainment on CBS, and rightly so. But take a look down the CBS listings during the entire week, and you'll find there's no let-up in the parade of all-star shows. Tomorrow, Wednesday night, and every Wednesday night, Bing Crosby, Groucho Marx, Burns and Allen, and Gene Hirschholt as the beloved Dr. Christian are heard on most of these same CBS stations. Dick Hames and the Andrews Sisters, Jack Smith and Dinah Shore are also on hand in their early evening quarter-hour programs. Make a habit of listening to CBS all through the week. And now we return you to the second act of Escape.
The smells were the same. Beer, tequila, stale black tobacco. But the sound had changed. There'd been music before. My stomach burned and my head throbbed. Somebody was lying across me. I raised up, tried to focus my eyes, but I couldn't. Gradually, I placed the sound. Some kind of a car. Bus? No, a truck. I was lying on the floor in the back of the truck, and there was a man lying across me. From the stench of him, he must have been drunk for a week, but from the inert way he lay, he could have been dead. I pushed him off and shook him. Where are we going? What is this? Hey, come on, wake up, will you? Listen to me. Then I suddenly remembered the money. The $4,000. It was gone. I was clean broke. I'd been rolled all right, and by a dame who even told me before she did it. Then I saw the rest of them. The truck was a big van, and it was loaded, packed with a drag to border town, a sodden human cargo. All of them filthy, bleary-eyed. But one of them looked awake and reasonably sober. Hey, you over there. You speak English?
Si, senor.
Well, what happened? What are we doing here?
Oh, we all fall drunk, senor. Oh, it's no good to fall drunk. Oh, you go to Hendler's.
Hendler's?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Oh, caray. No es bueno. Oh, I have been there before. I should know not to fall drunk. Oh, one whole month I have been there. Ese lugar es muy feo.
You've been where before? Where are they taking us? Tell me.
To Hendler's. Oh, he's a very bad man.
Hendler's? Well, who's Hendler?
Oh, you go to see, senor. You will see.
That's all I could get out of him. We were going to Hendler's, and it wouldn't be good. And it sounded like I was about to find out.
All right, you guys. Come on. The party's over. Hey, fellas. Move these tricks along again. Come on. You guys guys don't look like no bunch of daisies, but we'll make you bloom what we Miller.
He was a brute of a man, and he carried a .45 in a holster. He and the driver, Miller, herded us out of the truck like so many cattle. It was some sort of a road gang. I saw a sign blocking the road that read, "Under construction, Hensler Construction Company." Well, I had no idea where we were, how far away from the border. The landscape was dry, dusty, barren.
Well, Gonzalez, you with us again? Didn't we learn you not to get drunk, huh? Come on, you guys. Step on it.
All right, quit shoving.
Come on, come. Hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
Hello! How many times I got to tell you to be careful who you pick up? Now, wait a minute, Jay. Don't get sore before I tell you. Don't you know we can get in plenty of trouble picking up the wrong guy? I didn't pick him up. O'Toole threw him in.
O'Toole?
Shut up, you. What O'Toole wish him on us for? Little Hensler hears about him. Well, O'Toole has already talked with Hensler. He said this fellow will not give us any trouble. He's an embezzler. The police are looking for him.
You're crazy.
He came across the border to sell some money he had stolen from a bank or something. He must be plenty hot. He was willing to drop 15,000 real dough for 4,000 cash.
Real dough? What are you talking about? That was counterfeit I sold O'Toole.
Listen, buddy, I don't know what your racket is, but nobody fools O'Toole about money.
But it can't be real money. It was counterfeit, I tell you. It had to be. Look, I want to see Hensler.
You talk to me or you talk to nobody?
But I got to see Hensler. I got to get back to Juarez.
Oh? You hear that, Miller? He's got to get back to Juarez.
All right, look, you can't push me around. I'm an American.
Oh, he's an American. Well, send this to your Congress. Okay, American. Get on your feet. Get a pick and start working.
Hensler Construction Company. It was just another name for a chain gang. I never saw Hensler. He wasn't there. But in the next week, I got to know Jake all right. I got to hate him. He drove us from dawn till dark, digging a road bed by hand, pick and shovel, in the hot sun, in the dust, without rest. But worse than the physical torture was the fuss that gave me no rest. I'd sold O'Toole real money. For now I realized I'd never really had any proof that the fat man was a counterfeiter. I just jumped to that conclusion. The bus driver... No, not the bus driver. A woman on the bus said that the bus driver said it. And it drove me crazy just thinking about it. Real money. $15,000. I'd had it in my hand and I'd thrown it away. I had to escape. I had to. There'd been a man in the truck who said he'd been here before, so he must have gotten away somehow. He could help me. You're the man that was here before?
I am Gonzalez.
All right, you got away the other time, didn't you?
I see. But I am back. And this time I don't try to go.
Well, how did you go? How'd you get out?
There is a highway.
There is? Where?
4 miles, 5 miles. Many cars pass there.
There's 4 or 5 miles. That's nothing.
Oh, maybe it sounds nothing to you, senor. But those are bad miles to go. Oh, caray.
Only 4 or 5 miles. Over that way, he told me. Through the ravine. Well, I thought about it all that day, and I planned that I'd try it that night. But when we got back to camp, I was too dog tired even to eat. I just flopped on the hard earth and fell asleep. It seemed that I'd just closed my eyes when I was shaken awake.
Hey.
Huh?
Hey. Get up, American. Get on your feet.
Huh?
I got a little job for you.
Oh, leave me alone, Jake. I'm tired.
Get up! You're on overtime.
He was murderously drunk. He had a bottle of whiskey in one hand and his .45 in the other. So I got up off the ground. All around me, the men were sleeping. If they heard him, they didn't pay any attention. He marched me down to the road bed and threw a pick at me.
There. I'll start digging.
But it's the middle of the night. Look, I'm dead.
You gotta finish the road. Start digging, I said.
What are you picking on me for, Jake? Why me?
You're gonna start digging? Well, I start shooting.
So I dug. I dug till my hands were bleeding and my lungs were scalded with the effort of breathing. He sat alongside the road, knocking off that fist of whiskey and riding me every time I faltered. He was just mean drunk enough to kill me if I stopped. So I dug and I dug. Finally, I couldn't go on anymore. I was too tired to care. I dropped the pick and fell onto the road. My face was in the dirt. I lay there, panting, waiting for the bullet. When it didn't come, I turned my head, and what I saw gave me new life. Jake was sprawled out, dead drunk, and the .45 had slipped from his hand onto the ground. It was my chance. I hardly had enough strength left to move, but I knew if I didn't go then, it'd be too late. I'd never get away. I crawled over to him, and I got the gun, and somehow I got down the road and through that ravine, stumbled and crawled those hideous miles to the highway. And then I heard it, way down the road. With a car. I ran it like a madman and flagged it down.
On to you, sir?
Give me a ride, will you?
Oh, you're American, huh? Going back to the States?
Yeah.
Well, hop in.
I leaned back against the seat, shut my eyes, and slept all the way into Warhead.
Well, here you are. You said O2's dine and dance. Sure I can't wait for you?
No, thanks just the same, but I got some business to take care of.
Okay. Good luck.
$15,000 worth of business, and Jake's 45 in my pocket to guarantee the deal. I went around to that back door and slipped in quietly, and then crept down the hall and up the stairs that Squint-Eyes had led me before. This time I entered O'Toole's office without knocking. Hello, O'Toole.
Oh. I didn't expect you back so soon. Sit down. Can I get you something?
Yeah, you can. $15,000.
Afraid I don't understand. We made a deal.
Why didn't you tell me the money was real, not counterfeit, huh?
Well, you seem to know what you were doing, and remember, you placed the value on the money. I did not.
Yeah, well, I've just revalued it. I want it back, all of it.
We made a deal, and I paid you, and I'm through with you.
And you owed me.
How you lost the money I paid you is no concern to me.
I didn't look, then maybe this will be some concern to you. I took enough punishment to get this gun not to hesitate to use it. Now get the money while you're still alive.
That won't be necessary. How about 10,000?
Well, don't stall. 15.
But I should be allowed to realize some profit.
Hurry up, O'Toole. I haven't got all day.
I'll have to open this.
Then open it.
Will you take it in 10 and 20?
Now, look, you, I don't care how you give it to me, so long as it's American money. Now, quit stalling and get it. I didn't trust him. I expected any minute he'd pull something fast, but he didn't. He gave it to me. I never realized before the power of a gun. It makes short men tall and tall men strong.
Here you are.
Thanks. Now I could fly to Hollywood and have that suite at the Ambassador and throw a cocktail party, a big party. I'd show 'em. First, I stopped at the best men's shop in Juarez and got myself outfitted. An imported English tweed suit, cashmere top coat, couple of dozen shirts. I threw away my old clothes.
There will be something else, senor.
I'll take that alligator suitcase, too.
Si, senor, but you must remember when you go through customs, you must declare the clothes you are wearing. I have to report this.
Oh, sure, don't worry. And these neckties?
Si, senor.
I paid him with more than I'd spent on clothes in 10 years. I put $500 in my wallet and stashed the rest of the money away in my suitcase. Then I went to the American Club for a good dinner. Now I was all set to make my entrance. All I needed was a plane reservation for Hollywood. I was just going through customs when he ran up.
Stop it.
It was the clerk from the men's shop, gesturing wildly. The customs official listened, and then he came back to me.
I'm sorry, sir, but I have to detain you.
What?
Your wallet, if you please.
Oh, wait, I didn't buy the wallet from him.
If you please, sir, give it to me.
Okay, but it's just an American Hickok wallet, I tell you.
I'm not interested in the wallet itself, sir. Now we shall see.
There. You see? I tell you, look, all of it. What are you guys doing with my money?
You admit this is your money, mister?
Of course it is.
Then I'm sorry you'll have to come with me.
Why?
Because, mister, all the money in your wallet is counterfeit.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented Border Town by John and Gwen Bagney. Featured in the cast were Jack Webb as Evan, Bill Conrad as Jake, Ben Wright as O'Toole, Tony Barrett as Bryce, and Jeanette Nolan as Nieves. Also heard were Ted DeCostia, Paul Frees, B. Benaderet, Jerry Hausner, and Harry Bartell. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week.
You are on a train from Rajahor to Calcutta. With you is a fabulous jewel, the most sought-after emerald in the world, in whose depths are mirrored terror and violence. And for you, there is no escape.
proven surefire formula for better living. If we all work together to produce more per man, per machine, per hour, we all move together toward the benefits in living that are possible only under the American economic system. The better we produce, the better we live. For your free copy of the booklet, Miracle of America, write Box 10, Times Square Station, New York. Stay tuned now for Hit the Jackpot, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
10 p.m. BULOVA Boulevard watch time for a truly exquisite Christmas gift. Choose the Boulevard Miss America, only $33.75. Time now for a new secret saying and a new jackpot of prizes topped off by a four-door sedan. Time now for Bill Cullen and Hit the Jackpot. WCBS AM and FM.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette with premium quality throughout in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You get a call that a 72-year-old man has been murdered. His invalid wife has been brutally beaten. There's no lead to the assailants. Your job, get them. When you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it and who smoke it all the time. For almost a year now, a medical specialist has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months. He reports no adverse effects to their noses, their throats, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. You'll find Chesterfield much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 12th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 8:12 a.m. when we got to 8469 North Brighton Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Mrs. Hurley?
Yes, who are you?
Police officers. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, well, it's about time you got here.
Yes, ma'am. I wonder if we could see Mrs. Stone.
I don't think so. The ambulance man's with her now, giving her some kind of pill, something to calm her down. Lord knows the poor thing certainly needs something.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to see her, please.
Like I said, I don't know if you can. I'll have to ask the ambulance man.
Well, I'm sure it's all right, ma'am, if you just let us talk to the attendant.
You just wait here. I'll talk to him.
Now, look, I don't like to be rude, ma'am, but this is a murder investigation. If you'll open the door, please.
How do I know you're what you say you are? How do I know you're cops?
Well, here's our identification.
Looks enough like you, I guess. All right, come on.
Thank you. Where is Mrs. Stone?
Back there, in the back bedroom.
I'll check with the attendant.
Right, Frank. I wonder if you could tell us what you know about this, Mrs. Hurley.
You just bet I can. You just bet. That poor woman back there. She's lying at death's door because you didn't do your job. You know that?
Ma'am?
At death's door. It's your job to see that things like this don't happen. That's what you're paid for. And look, just look. Her poor husband dead and herself all beaten. Poor thing. I just don't understand what the world's coming to when things like this can happen.
Well, first, ma'am, there was no way we could stop this. I think you understand that. We're trying to clean it up now. We're going to need your help to do it. Now, if you just tell me what happened, please.
Yeah. That's what you say. I know different.
All right, Mrs. Hurley. The faster we can get started on this thing, the better chance we have of getting the people responsible for it.
I suppose so. Well, what do you want to know?
Well, if you'd please start at the beginning and tell me what you know about it.
Yeah. Well, it started this morning. About 7 or 7:15, I think. I heard this noise at the back door, kind of a scratching kind of noise. And a moan, a little tiny moan. Sounded like it was way off, kind of in the distance.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I wasn't sure that I wasn't dreaming the whole thing. You know how it is when you're awakened out of a sound sleep.
Yes, I understand.
Well, it was like that. Took me about 10 minutes before I knew that there really was something there. Well, I got up and went to the door. And that's when I found her. Right there at the back door, kind of laying on the porch. I could see right away that someone had beaten her. That's when I called the ambulance. And then she told me about how her husband had been killed. And then I called you. The other car, the one with the men in uniform, come out.
Mm-hmm.
They looked around, and then they went over to the house.
That'd be the Stones' house?
That's right. Next door.
I see. How about it, Frank?
Well, it's pretty bad, Joe. They're treating her now.
Can we see her?
Only attendant says it'll be all right for a couple of minutes. Not much more than that. They're going to take her to Georgia Street.
Okay.
He said he'd let us know when we could talk to her.
All right, fine. Did she tell you what happened, Mrs. Hurley? Anything at all?
Just that there was 2 men. They come in and beat up on her, killed her husband. That was enough. One look at her, and I could tell she was hurt bad. And her an invalid. I just don't understand how anybody in their right mind could do a thing like this. I just don't understand it.
Yes, ma'am. Now, you say that she's an invalid, is that right?
Yes, they were involved in an auto accident a couple of years ago. Some drunk ran right into them, smashed the car all up, laid Mr. Stone up for a couple of months, and put Patricia in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Can't walk at all. She crawled over here. Don't know how she did it. Great courage.
Yes, ma'am. Did you hear anything at all last night? Any disturbances?
Not a
what
thing,
you told
not
me?
a thing. Went to bed about 10, slept like a rock, didn't hear a thing until this morning. That was about 7:15 maybe, like I said. Nope, I didn't hear a thing.
Well, do you know if there was anyone that the Stones were afraid of? Anyone who might have done anything like this?
Nope. I can't think of a soul.
How about money, ma'am? Did Mr. Stone keep large sums of money around the house?
Well, now, I don't know. You might have.
Joe?
Well, yeah, Hal.
You want to see her now?
Yeah, come on, Frank.
All right.
You going to want to talk to me some more?
Yes, ma'am, we'll be back. Mrs. Stone? Mrs. Stone?
Yes? Who is it?
Police officers, ma'am. We know you don't feel well, but there are a few questions we'd like to ask, if you don't mind.
You got the men yet? The ones who did this?
No, ma'am, not yet.
I tried to tell them. I tried. They just wouldn't listen.
Ma'am.
I told them to take whatever they wanted and leave us alone. Just leave us alone. I tried to tell them. They wouldn't listen. They killed Henry. They tried to kill me.
Do you know who they were, Mrs. Stone?
What?
I say, do you know who they were? The men who did this, do you know who they were? Had you ever seen them before?
No, I don't think so. It was dark. Then I heard them argue with Henry. I tried to get up. I tried to help him, but I couldn't. I screamed, but they didn't pay attention. Then they killed her.
Ma'am, can you describe them for us? Tell us how tall they were, how they were dressed, maybe?
They didn't know that I was there. Then they came into my room, and they said they'd kill the other one, so they might as well kill me, too. I tried to tell them to go away, but they wouldn't listen. They just hit me and hit me and hit me. There wasn't anything I could do.
Did they drive a car, ma'am? Is there anything you can tell us that might help us in identifying them? Did one of them use a name, maybe?
They locked me in the closet. They put that pillow over my head. I don't know why. I told them they could take what they wanted. Take it if they just leave us alone, but they didn't. They killed Henry. They tried to kill me.
All right, Mrs. Stone, everything's going to be all right here. Don't worry now. Just try and get some rest.
Doesn't matter much now. Isn't anything that matters anymore. Nothing now that they killed Henry.
All right, ma'am. Please try not to get upset.
Joe?
Yeah.
Better get her downtown.
Well, how's it look for her, Hal? What are her chances?
Depends.
Yeah.
How hard she wants to try.
8:46 a.m. The ambulance removed Mrs. Stone to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. We put in a call to the crime lab, and then we talked to the neighbor, Mrs. Hurley. She could add little to what she'd already told us. She said that she'd heard no loud noises during the night and that she'd seen no one in the neighborhood acting suspicious. She told us, however, that Mr. Stone was known to have kept large sums of money in the house. She went on to say that he made no attempt to hide his distrust of banks, and that he had often said that all of his money was on the premises. 9:02 a.m., Frank and I went next door to the Stone home. The crime lab and latent fingerprint crews had arrived and were going over the place for physical evidence. We talked to Ray Pinker of the crime lab.
This is how they got in.
Yeah, toward the screen, huh?
Must have done it with their hands. Couldn't find any tool marks.
You figured the door was open then, huh, Ray?
Yeah, it looks that way. One of those old-fashioned locks, no indication that they forced it.
Mm-hmm. Did you find anything else?
Take a look back here in the closet.
Oh, they sure tore the place up, didn't they?
Yeah, I went through everything. Even took the pictures off the walls.
Yeah.
Ripped up the bedding. There's a drawer they didn't go through.
Any prints at all?
Bergman's checking it. Haven't found anything yet that I know of.
Pretty bad.
Here. Look at the mattress on the husband's bed. Tore it all up. Stuffing scattered around the room. Looks like a tornado went through the place. The closet's back here. This was Mrs. Stone's room. You can see where they dragged her.
Yeah.
Must have hit her the first time about here, and then they dragged her over to this closet, dropped her in here. You can see where she stacked those suitcases up there to pull herself out the window.
I don't know how she did it. Bad off as she was. Looks like robbery was the motive then, huh, Ray?
Can't agree with that, Joe.
Why?
Come on back in Stone's room. We found the murder weapon. Checked around. It looks like they picked him up in the backyard. Here, take a look. A couple of wooden clubs. Looks like they came from a walnut tree just outside the back door. Kind of blows the robbery angle.
Yeah.
They were ready to kill the Stones when they came in.
9:30 a.m. The crime lab finished their investigation of the house. The backyard and the surrounding ground were gone over. In the soft earth at the foot of one of the walnut trees, a pair of footprints was found and plaster casts were made of them. On the lower limbs of the trees, we found the place where the two clubs could have been taken. The rest of the yard and the immediate vicinity were combed, but we found nothing. 12:15 p.m. Frank put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. They told him that Mrs. Stone had been given emergency treatment and then had been removed to the county hospital. Her condition was listed as critical. They said that it would be some time before we'd be able to talk to her. 1:30 p.m. We began to canvass the neighborhood. From the people in the surrounding houses, we found that Mr. Stone had retired from the wholesale grocery business about 10 years ago. He devoted himself to the cultivation of prize roses and the care of Mrs. Stone. The neighbors told us that the Stones were quiet and that they seldom entertained. 3:15 p.m. We went back to talk to Mrs. Hurley.
I knew you'd be back.
Ma'am?
I knew you'd come back to talk to me again. Could have told you a lot, but I thought I'd just let you try and find out for yourself. Didn't do too well, did you? Did you?
I don't think I understand, Miss Hurley.
Simple. Anything you want to know about this neighborhood, you come to the source. That's me. Anybody knows what's going on here, I do.
Yeah, well, if you had information that you thought we should have had, why didn't you tell us before, ma'am?
I didn't want to.
Ma'am?
I said I didn't want to. I still say that you were responsible for this whole thing, done your job, and it wouldn't have happened. Oh, I still haven't forgot. Oh, no, sir.
Now, look, Miss Hurley, this is a murder investigation. I've told you that before. A man has been killed. A woman's been badly beaten. We're going to need all the cooperation from you that we can get.
I'm ready now.
What?
I'll cooperate. I'll tell you what you want to know.
All right, Miss Hurley. First, do you have any idea who might have done this?
You just bet I have.
Who, ma'am?
Their boy. Only one that's mean enough to do it. Only one.
Their boy?
Sure. Herman Jr. He's the one. You just bet.
Why do you say that?
Because I know, that's why. Mean kid. Always had trouble with him. Because the only trouble ever was between Patricia and me. Troublemaker. But he was pure and simple, a troublemaker.
How old is this boy, Miss Hurley?
36, a real monster.
You know where the boy is now?
No, and I'm not interested. Happiest day of my life when he moved out of the house. Oh, he and I used to get in some arguments. Little brat. Stand there and think he was so big. Finally, Mr. Stone saw it. Told him to get out. Moved right out of the house, bag and parcel, right out.
You mean that Mr. Stone and the boy had arguments?
See? That's what I mean. No wonder people don't cooperate with you.
I beg your pardon?
I say something, then you ask me if I mean it. Of course I mean it. I wouldn't say it otherwise. Like people who ask, what time is it? You tell them, and then they ask if you're sure. If they don't want to believe you, why do they ask you in the first place?
Yes, ma'am. Were you there at the time, ma'am?
No, I wasn't. It was a warm night. Just a couple of months ago, all the windows was open, and I just couldn't help seeing into their house. You know, houses being so close together, you can understand it.
Yes, ma'am, we can understand.
I don't like the way you said that, young man.
Well, I didn't mean anything by it, Mrs. Hurley.
Well, I suppose not. But I don't want you to get the idea that I'm the nosy type.
Oh, no, ma'am. Not at all.
Well, anyway, Mr. Stone told Herman to get his things and get out. Right out. That night.
Uh-huh. Well, did the boy leave that night?
Oh, yes. Went right into his room and packed. Said he'd never come back. That he didn't want anything more to do with the old man.
Mm-hmm.
And his father said that was the way he wanted it. He was going to cut him out of his will. Well, you can just believe that's when the trouble really started.
Well, now, where was Mrs. Stone all this time?
Well, she was in her room, but she come out. Wheeled herself right out. Told them to stop this foolishness. She always was. Kind of pampering the boy. I think myself that's what caused him to be like he was. You know, tied to his mother's apron strings all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
That's when Herman said that about doing something. Said that the old man was senile. Said that he was crazy. And that the money was his, and he was going to see that he got it.
Mm-hmm.
Said he meant to have it if he had to kill somebody.
4:10 p.m. We got the full name and description of the Stone boy from Mrs. Hurley. We went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. We found a Herman Stone, Jr. with a record listing 3 arrests on charges of 4127A LAMC. We checked out his last known address, a hotel on South Hill, and found that he'd moved several weeks before. The manager gave us a forwarding address, and at 6:10 p.m., Frank and I drove out to see him. It was a large apartment hotel on Wilshire Boulevard. We talked to the desk clerk.
Sure, I know Herman. Nice guy. Once in a while he gets a little loud, but most of the time he's a real nice guy.
Is he here now?
I don't think so. Let me look. Key's here. I think I saw him go out about an hour ago. He wasn't feeling too well. Bad hangover.
Any idea where he might be?
No, like I said, I didn't talk to him. Just saw him go out.
You know what he does for a living?
Herman?
Yes, sir.
I don't think he does nothing. Plays the horses a little bit, picks up a buck that way. Good player. Sure knows the dogs. Given me a couple of tips. Didn't do any good. He sure does all right. Made a real killing yesterday. Must have hit it for about $4,000 or $5,000.
That right?
Yeah. Showed me the money this morning. Real big roll. At least $4 or $5 grand. Tips he gave me never did that good.
You got any idea where he was last night?
So what's this all about anyway? Herm done something?
Well, it'd be better if we talked to him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you guys know what you're doing, huh?
Well, yes, sir.
He asked me if I knew what he was doing last night.
Uh-huh.
I sure do. He really tied one on. Of course, with his luck, I don't wonder. Really tied one on.
Sir?
Loaded. He got in here. He had a bottle. So you won't say anything about this to the management, will you?
No, sir, we won't.
Couldn't have that happen. They don't approve of drinking while I'm on duty. You understand. Kind of stuffy, but that's the way they look at it.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, old Herm rolls in here, and he's got this bottle. Asked me to have one with him. Well, I don't like to get him sore, so I do. And we have a couple of more. Old Herm, that boy can really put it away.
Yes, sir. What time was that?
Well, let's see. I guess about 7, maybe 7:15.
Mm-hmm. Did he go out after that?
Sure didn't. Killed the bottle, and then he passed right out, cold. Slept there on that couch.
Uh-huh.
No, sir, old Herm didn't go anyplace.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is the first cigarette to offer smokers premium quality in both regular and king size. King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
8:12 p.m. Herman Stone returned to the hotel. Frank and I talked to him for about an hour. He appeared quite shaken when we told him of his father's death. We questioned him about the money that he'd suddenly come up with. He explained that he'd won it at the races. He gave us the name of the man who accompanied him to the track. Frank and I checked with him and found that Stone's story was true. We checked his shoe size and found that it was not the same as the print found at the scene of the murder. 10:46 p.m. We called the office and they told us that we'd gotten a message from the county hospital. Mrs. Stone was able to talk. She wasn't completely out of danger, but barring a relapse, she was expected to recover. Frank and I drove out to the hospital and talked to her.
I wish I could help you more than I have, but there just isn't anything else.
Well, could you give us any idea of about how tall they were?
That'd be pretty hard to do, Mr. Friday. I was lying down when they came into my room. I could only guess, but I'd say maybe as tall as you. I don't think much taller.
I see. Now, how about their build, ma'am? Was it heavy or slight?
I can't be sure. I guess if I must say one or the other, I have to say they're about medium. One was very strong, though.
Ma'am?
The one that carried me to the closet. He was strong. Just lifted me out of bed and carried me over to the closet and threw me on the floor.
Did your husband have any large amounts of money in the house?
Yes. Yes, he did. Herman never believed in banks, not since the crash. Always said that he could take care of the money as well as they could.
Yes, ma'am.
He had all of his savings in the house, kept them in the mattress on his bed.
Do you know about how much that might be, Mrs. Stone?
I'd only be guessing, but I'd say maybe $12,000 or $13,000. Herman didn't discuss finances with me. He always thought it was a man's business, that I shouldn't have to worry about it. I tried to tell him, tried all the time.
What's that, ma'am?
That he should put the money in a bank. He used to talk about it, too. I know that didn't help any.
Well, who did he talk to, Mrs. Stone?
People in the neighborhood. He used to tell them that he didn't get the interest, but that he always knew just where his money was. He used to ask them if they could say the same.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of anybody in the neighborhood who might do a thing like this?
Oh, no. We've lived there for a long time. No, none of them would even think about it.
I see. Did you or your husband have any enemies? Anyone that you had any arguments with, maybe?
No, there wasn't anyone. Mr. Friday?
Yes, ma'am?
Does my son know about this? Does he know that his father is... Does he know about it?
Yes, ma'am, he does. He's outside in the hall right now. He said he'd like to see you.
Poor boy. Never did get along with his father. I tried to make them understand each other. I tried so hard. Didn't seem to do any good.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's nothing else that you can tell us, ma'am.
There's one thing. I hate to mention it. It seems so silly.
What's that, Mrs. Stone?
When they were arguing with Herman in the next room, they got very loud. I thought that I recognized one of the voices, and I can't be sure, but at the time I thought it.
Yes, ma'am.
Then when they came into my room, I was pretty sure. But I could be wrong, and I wouldn't want to cause anybody any trouble. I wouldn't want to make a mistake.
Well, who do you think it might have been? Whose voice do you think it was?
It sounded like Smokey's.
Who?
Smokey. He used to do some work around the yard for Herman. That was a year or so ago. I haven't seen him since then.
Well, do you know where we can get in touch with him, ma'am?
No, I don't. As I said, I haven't seen him in over a year.
What's his full name, Mrs. Stone?
I don't know. That's why I thought it might be a little silly. I don't even know his right name. He just told us his name was Smokey. The young man always had a cigarette in his mouth. Chain smoker, I think you'd call it.
Uh-huh.
Herman used to kid him about it, smoking all the time. I don't think Smokey liked it. He was a pretty serious young man. He used to get a little angry at Herman.
I see. Can you give us a description of the man?
Oh, yes. Nice-looking boy. I hope I haven't made a mistake. I hope I haven't done the wrong thing.
Well, don't you worry about it, Miss Stone.
What?
That's his worry now. We continued to talk to Mrs. Stone. We got the description of the handyman who'd worked for her husband. 11:28 p.m. We went back to the city hall and ran the name and description through the moniker files in R&I. We came up with one good possible. In checking his record, we found that his full name was Charles P. Roxford. His age was listed as 37 years. The rest of his description matched the one we'd gotten from Mrs. Stone. He had an arrest record listing several charges of forgery, and at that time there was an outstanding warrant on him for check passing. We went back to the office and called Forgery Division. Yeah, Roxford. Yeah, that's right, Charles R. Huh? Oh, we want to talk to him about a killing out on Brighton, yeah. What? When was that? Yeah. Okay, we'll be right there. Well, that's a break.
What do you mean? They know where he is?
They got him. Charles Roxford had been picked up a few minutes before by officers in Forgery Division while he was trying to pass a bad check. Frank and I went down the hall and took the prisoner to the interrogation room. We talked to him for 2 hours. During that time, he'd admit nothing except his name and that he'd been trying to pass a phony check.
You're off your rocker, and you know it. You got me for one thing, hanging paper. That's it, and you can't make anything more out of it.
How about this money we found on you?
Yeah, how about it?
Where'd it come from?
I won it.
Where?
In a crap game.
Where was the game?
I forgot. It was a floating game. Moved around a lot.
You worked for the Stone family a year or so ago?
I don't know. I might have. I worked for a lot of people.
You worked for them?
I might have, like I said.
They seem to think you did.
All right, so I did. What's that mean?
You ever have any arguments with Stone?
No. Got along good. Never had no trouble.
His wife thinks different.
Oh, that's so?
That's right.
And she's off a rocket, too. Now, look, maybe you guys got all night, but I haven't.
You're not going anyplace.
Well, how about booking me and let's talk in the morning, then, huh?
All right, fine, Roxford. As soon as you answer a few more questions.
I told you all I know.
Maybe you forgot something. Let's go over it again. What do you say?
All right. Where do you want to start?
Well, can you tell us what you've been doing the last few days?
Any day in particular, or do you want to run down minute by minute?
You just tell us what you've been doing, will you?
Let's see. This is Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
All right, let's start with Monday. That all right with you?
Come on, get on with it.
Well, I got up yesterday morning about, I think it was 11:30, lit a cigarette, got dressed, went downstairs and had some breakfast. Interesting?
Go ahead.
Oh, I can spice it up for you, if you want. It's kind of dull when you tell it straight.
Well, you just tell a story.
Oh, what are you guys trying to prove? What are you trying to tell?
What'd you do last night?
I had dinner and went to a show.
Where'd you eat dinner?
Place down on the spring.
Did you eat alone?
Yeah.
What'd you do then?
Like I said, I went to a show.
Who went with you?
Nobody. I didn't say anybody went with me.
Oh, I must have thought you said that.
Yeah. I went alone.
All right. Where'd you go after that?
I walked around, had a couple of drinks.
Where?
A bar down on 5th.
What time was that?
About 12:30 or so.
Anybody with you?
No.
You know the bartender?
No, I never went in the place before.
Then you got no way of proving you were there.
No, do I have to?
Did it help?
Well, why? I'm a big boy now. I don't have to explain anything to you guys. Now get off my back, will you? I'm getting sick of playing footsie.
Where'd you go after you left that bar?
I went home.
Where's that?
It's a place over on 4th.
What time did you get in?
I don't know. Maybe 1:30, 2.
Mm-hmm. Desk clerk see you come in?
No, he's asleep.
How long ago did you say you worked for the Stone?
I didn't. You said I worked for him a year ago.
Is that right?
I guess so. I forgot. What's this bit about the Stones?
You got any way of proving where you were last night?
Like I said, I don't have to.
That's the way you look at it, mister.
You're in trouble if you can't come up with an alibi we can't break.
That right?
Yep.
Why?
Because Mrs. Stone got a good look at you.
She couldn't have. The lights were out.
Yeah, no, that's clever, Roxford. You want to tell us about it now? Come on, Roxford.
All right, I should have known. I should have known. I never should have done it, but I didn't have any choice. You can't figure that, can you?
What do you mean?
Well, I owed this money. The guys are getting tired of waiting. They said I had to come up with it. I didn't have any choice.
Is that right?
Sure. Well, you can see it, can't you? I had to come up with the money. I tried to win it back. The more I played, the more I owed him. There just wasn't any other way. I knew old man Stone had it. Wasn't doing him any good, and I needed it, and I knew where he kept the money.
Who was with you?
Jackie Forbes.
You know where we can find him?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
All right, you want to get the stenographer, Frank?
Yeah.
I should have known. Should have known, but there just wasn't any choice. There wasn't any other way.
Well, why'd you kill him?
He knew who I was. There's no choice. I had to.
Is that right?
Well, sure, you can see that yourself, can't you? I couldn't find any other way.
You didn't look very hard, did you?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 10th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as I've told you before, Chesterfield is the first cigarette to give you premium quality throughout in both regular and king size. And Chesterfield is the cigarette that gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. Now, as a 2-pack-a-day Chesterfield smoker, I know it's the cigarette that's best for me. They really are much milder, and I'm sure when you try them, regular or king size, you'll agree Chesterfield is best for you.
Charles Richard Roxford and Jack Allen Forbes were tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. They were executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Stacey Harris. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette with premium quality throughout in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. You get a call from another city to pick up a burglary suspect. You know the name he's using. You know where he's living. Your job, pick him up. When you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it and who smoke it all the time. For almost a year now, a medical specialist has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months. He reports no adverse effects to their noses, their throats, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. You'll find Chesterfield much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:42 a.m. when we got to the corner of Selma and Fountain. The Arizona Carlton Hotel.
Guess we check over there, huh?
Yeah. You got the mugs?
Yeah, right here. I'm awfully sorry, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, I know we say each room is air-conditioned. Well, yes, ma'am, but it is true. I know, ma'am, but the air conditioning is on full now. All right, ma'am. Yes, I'll send some right up. I'll be with you right away. Front, here, boy. Get some ice water up to Mrs. Hartfield in 502 right away. No, sorry to keep you waiting.
It's all right, sir.
What is it you wanted? We're police officers, sir. Here's our identification. There's nothing wrong, is there? Don't know what I'd do if anything else went wrong. The air conditioning unit went out this morning, making excuses. I don't know how much longer the ice water's going to hold out. What is it? What's wrong now?
Do you have a Mr. George Richmond registered here?
Probably gives his home address in the desk, though. Richmond. Let's see here. Wait a minute.
Sure.
How do I know you're what you say? Police department's always sending out circulars saying to be careful about this sort of thing. It's a respectable hotel, you know. How do I know?
Well, here's our identification again, sir. I showed it to you before.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Friday. How about yours?
Yeah, here you are, sir.
All right. Can't be too careful. Your own office says that, you know. Careful. Anybody can come in here with a badge.
Yes, sir. And if you just check the register for us, please.
Yeah, sure thing. Oh, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Here he is. Richmond George, Modesto, California.
Is he here now?
No, checked out day before yesterday. Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Registration desk. Yes, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am, I know that's what we advertised. Well, yes, ma'am, but it's on the way up. No, ma'am, I sent the boy myself. Yes, ma'am. I'm sure he'll be there. All right, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am. I may quit. Now, what was it you wanted with Mr. Richmond?
Well, you said that he moved out, huh?
Yes, bag and baggage day before yesterday.
You leave any forwarding address?
No, I talked to him when he left. Didn't say a word about where he was going.
Uh-huh. Was there anyone in the hotel he was especially friendly with? Anybody who might know where we can reach him?
No, he kind of kept to himself. Nice fella. Sure tipped good. Kept to himself, though.
Uh-huh. Is there anyone around the place who might know where he was going? Bellboys, maybe the waitress in the coffee shop?
Oh, no, I hardly think so. He didn't eat here. Don't blame him.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Here's our card. If you hear anything from Mr. Richmond, we'd sure appreciate a call.
You bet. I'll give you a ring.
You get any mail while he was staying here?
No, nothing. Not even a phone call. Didn't use the room for anything but to sleep. Real quiet. Good tipper, though.
Did he drive a car, do you know?
No, not that I know of. Say, come to think of it, you might check with Ernie.
Ernie?
Yeah, he drives a cab, usually right out in front. He picked up Mr. Richmond one night. He might be able to tell you something.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. If anything comes up, appreciate that call.
Okay. Hope you get what you're looking for. Registration desk. Yes, Mrs. Hartfield.
Let's go, Frank.
Right.
I know, ma'am, but the ice water's on the way up. I can't understand why it isn't there, but I am the manager, Mr.
Fellow out there might be him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah?
Your name, Ernie?
That's right. What can I do for you?
Police officers. We'd like some information.
Well, I got a permit to park here.
No, it's not that. We'd like to know if you remember picking up a George Richmond here.
Oh. Richmond, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Richmond. No, name doesn't make any bells ring. What's the guy look like?
You got those mug shots, Frank?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
You a cop, too?
Yes, sir. I'm an officer.
Yeah. You kind of look like one. Is this the guy?
Yes, sir, that's him. You remember picking him up?
Yeah, seems I've seen him before. Yeah, good tipper. Yeah, I picked him up, let's see, a couple days ago. Drove him downtown. Sure, downtown.
Remember where you took him?
Gee, it was a couple days ago, like I said.
Yes, sir.
I haven't got the slightest idea.
10:07 a.m. We continued to talk to the cab driver. He was sure that he'd picked up George Richmond on Sunday night, but he was unable to tell us where he'd taken the suspect. We drove back downtown and checked with the cab company. On the driver's waybill, we found that he'd made 3 pickups that night from the hotel on Fountain Avenue. The first stop listed was a large cafeteria in downtown Los Angeles. We checked with the cashier. She was unable to identify the mugshots of Richmond. The second stop was a large apartment out on Wilshire Boulevard. We checked the manager of the place, and she told us that she didn't recognize the name. We showed her the mugshots of Richmond, and she said that she thought she'd seen the man 2 weeks before. When she asked him what he wanted, he said that he was looking for a Miss Norman. Because of the way he'd acted, the landlady hadn't told him that there was a tenant by that name living in the place. She gave us the apartment number of the Norman woman, and Frank and I went up to see her. Want to try it again?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Police officers.
What?
Police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute. And what's this all about?
Miss Margaret Norman?
Yeah, that's right. What do you want with me?
What if we could come in, please? Be a little better than talking out here in the hall.
Yeah, I guess so. Come in.
Thank you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi.
You alone here, Miss Norman?
Yeah, I just got up. Have to excuse the way the place looks, kind of messy.
Yes, ma'am.
Mind if I put on some coffee? I'm not going to be able to answer any questions before I have a cup of coffee.
You go right ahead, ma'am.
What is it you want to see me about?
You know a man named Richmond?
Richmond?
Yes, ma'am. George Richmond.
Why'd you ask that? What's he done?
We'd just like to know if you know him, do you?
Yeah, I know. What do you guys want him for?
We'd like to talk to him, Miss Norman.
Uh-huh. Don't want to tell me what it's about, huh?
Well, it'll be better if we talk to him.
Yeah. Either one of you got a cigarette?
Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
Match?
Thanks. You know, there's no love lost between me and George.
Is that right?
You bet there isn't, lousy bummer. I got a drugstore cowboy.
He's a girl out for dinner one lousy night and a cheap dinner. Figures he owns her.
You know where he is now?
I haven't got the slightest idea. If I did know, I'd sure tell you. Bet I would. I'd like to see him get his way he treated me.
You know any of his friends? Anyone who might know where he is?
I don't think he's got a friend. At least I never met any of them.
Does he drive a car, do you know?
No, not him. Always took a cab. Used to kill me. Anywhere we went, he'd take a cab. One lousy block and he took a cab. Liked to be a sport. Always tipping big. Regular drugstore cowboy.
Mm-hmm. When did you see him last?
Oh, it's been a couple of weeks ago. That much, anyway. Last time I saw him. Don't care if I never see him again where he acted. I thought he was going to kill me.
Ma'am?
Went out to dinner and we got back here. He'd been drinking a lot. Got real nasty. I told him he better be going. You know, it was late and all.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, like I said, it was late and he got real nasty. Started yelling at me. Called me all sorts of things. I'm not going to let any man say things like that to me, so I told him to get out. I'd never want to see him again. One lousy dinner and he thought he owned me.
Mm-hmm. Will you go ahead, Mr. Arnold?
He hauled off and hit me. Right there in the hall. Hit me as hard as he could. Almost broke my jaw. Well, you know, I let out a scream and he beat it. Caused such a commotion I had to move.
Then this didn't happen here, is it?
No, a place over on Vermont. I moved the next day.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet Richmond?
At the club. Say, you got another cigarette?
Yeah. Here you are.
Match?
Thanks.
What club's that, ma'am?
Where I work. In Green Lantern, downtown. I'm the cigarette girl. I met him there. He came in one night. Acted real big. Asked me if I'd have dinner with him. As it happened, I didn't have an engagement that night, so I said yes. Well, we kind of went together for a while.
I see.
Sure hope you get him. A real bad guy. The way he treats women. Terrible. He said, wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I know someone who might be able to tell you where he is.
Who's that, ma'am?
A fellow named Hank. Used to hang around the club. I saw George talk to him at the bar once in a while.
Well, do you know where we can find this fella, Hank?
No, but I can tell you where his girlfriend lives. That help?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Place over on 3rd out near Fairfax.
Do you know his full name, ma'am?
Gee, I gotta think about that. Let's see. Jeanette, that's the girl. Jeanette introduced him as Palmer. That's it, Hank Palmer. I don't know about him, though.
What's that, Miss Thorne?
He's a real mean one. Kind of quiet, not like George. George likes to shoot his mouth off, but Hank is quiet. He's trouble, though.
Ma'am?
Well, one night we went up to Jeanette's for a couple of drinks. Hank took off his coat. That's why I say he's rough.
Yeah.
Sure. Carries a gun.
1:45 p.m. We got the description of Hank Palmer, and then Frank and I drove back to the city hall. We ran the name and description through R&I, but we got no make. We sent the name to George Brereton, CII, up at Sacramento. We got communication off to Washington, asking them for information on Palmer. We also checked the name of Palmer's girlfriend through our records, but we got no information. We contacted Captain Steed and arranged for a stakeout to be placed on the apartment of Palmer's girlfriend, Jeanette Allen. 2 days went by. Palmer and Richmond failed to make an appearance. We talked to Jeanette Allen, but she couldn't supply us with any information as to the whereabouts of the two men. Descriptions of the men were broadcast. Informants were questioned. We contacted the Modesto Police Department, and they sent us all information on the places Richmond was known to frequent while he was in Los Angeles. The kickback from Sacramento and Washington gave us no new information on Richmond, but Washington had him listed as having 2 arrests for armed robbery and ADW in the East. Another week passed. The stakeouts on Jeanette Allen's apartment continued. No sign of either of the men. Sergeant Al Panoges of the Bunko Fugitive Detail worked with us in trying to trace their movements. On Saturday, June 15th, we got word from an informant that Richmond and Palmer had been seen in town. We checked with the stakeout at the apartment, but they'd seen nothing of the two men. Frank, Al Panoges, and I drove out to relieve the stakeout.
Hey, Panoge.
Yeah, Frank.
Sure hot in this room, isn't it? Air just laying there.
Yeah. Paper says it's the hottest June 15th on record.
Is that Miss Allen?
Yes, Sergeant?
Now, you haven't heard from Palmer at all since he got back, is that it?
No, not a word. I don't really believe he's in town. I'm sure if he was, he'd look me up. Never done this before.
Uh-huh.
Say, would it be all right if I got a glass of water, miss?
Sure, help yourself right out in the kitchen.
Thanks. How about you, Joe? Want some?
No, no, thanks.
Al?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah?
Cab's stopping out in front. Man getting out. Might be one of them. Guy's wearing an overcoat.
On a day like this?
You coming in here, Al?
Yeah. Yeah, cab's pulling away.
Okay. You want to take that side of the door, Frank?
Right.
You better go into the bedroom, Miss Allen.
You think there's going to be some trouble?
Well, it depends on the way he wants it.
Oh, well, I guess you know best. I hope not. All I need is to have to move again.
Somebody in the hall. He's stopping. All set?
Right. Who are you? You Hank Palmer? Yeah, so what?
Police officers.
Lousy
cop! That's his Joe. He's got a gun. I'll get him. All right, hold it up, Palmer. Stop or I'll fire.
Get away from me, cop!
Hold it up, Palmer.
All right. Come on, pull out of here. Come on, go.
Get in the call, Frank. Gray Mercury. License number is 1S69105.
Right. Better call an ambulance, too.
What?
Panoges. He's hurt bad.
June 15th, 8:40 p.m. Sergeant Al Panoges was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. His condition was listed as critical. The bullet had entered his chest and was still embedded below the left lung. His family was notified, and after Frank and I got out the APB on Palmer, we drove by to pick up Mrs. Panoges. We dropped her off at the hospital, and Frank stayed with her. Palmer's description was put out, as was the description of the car he'd commandeered to get away. I ran the number through our DMV and found that it was registered to a William Evans, 1627 East Poinsettia, Hollywood. Along with Sergeant Ullery, I checked out the address. Mrs. Evans told us that she hadn't seen her husband for several hours, that when he left the house, he had told her that he was going to a lodge meeting. We got a description of him and got out a local and an APB on him. I called the hospital and found that they'd operated on Panoges, but that they were unable to remove the bullet. His wife collapsed. Frank had her taken home where she was cared for by their family doctor. 12:46 a.m. A radio car out in Chatsworth picked up Evans. He told him that Palmer had forced him at gunpoint to drive him to the valley. There he'd forced Evans from the car and driven off. Evans couldn't give the officers any idea of where the suspect might have been headed. 2 hours later, the car was found abandoned on Spring Street. It was placed under surveillance, and a dragnet of the downtown area was started. Metro Division assigned 20 teams of men to make a block-by-block search of the vicinity. The details at the bus stations and at the airports were alerted. 4:12 a.m. I got a call from Frank, and I drove over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Hi. How's it going?
Good. Just saw the doctor.
Well, how's Al?
He just died.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is the first cigarette to offer smokers premium quality in both regular and king size. King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
When an officer is first accepted by the police force, he spends 13 weeks at the police academy. In that period, he learns the basic fundamentals of being a peace officer. On graduation from the academy, he is assigned either to traffic or to a tour of duty in one of the city jails. Then, depending on his aptitude and the way he conducts himself in the field, he's checked on for possible transfer to one of the detective divisions as an investigator. By the time a police officer gets his assignment to the detective bureau, he's become a professional troubleshooter. He knows how to handle himself, and he knows how to treat the lawbreaker. He's on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he wears a gun. When a hoodlum shoots a police officer, he's showing society that he has no regard for the law, and at the same time, he is announcing that he will not hesitate to kill an unarmed citizen. Sergeant Alfred Panoges had been a policeman 14 years. He'd begun in traffic, and then had been transferred to the juvenile division. From there, he went to homicide detail, and then to bunco fugitive division. He was a professional peace officer, and he'd been murdered. He gave his life to protect the people who paid his salary, the taxpayers. His killer was still at large, and we had to find him. The search of the downtown area was intensified, but it netted us nothing. Frank and I checked the immediate area around the abandoned car. In talking to the people in the vicinity, we found a newsboy who had seen Palmer park the car. He said he was unable to tell us where the man had gone, but he said that he thought he might have gone into a bar near the corner. We checked the place, but the bartender was unable to give us any information. 2 days passed. We rechecked the known hangouts of the two men. Neither of them had been seen. Tuesday, June 18th, we got word that Palmer had been seen entering an apartment house on South Alvarado. 10:14 a.m. Frank and I drove over to talk to the landlady.
Palmer and Richmond. No, I don't think I know them.
Why don't you take a look at these pictures, Mrs. Holbrook, see if you recognize them?
Sure.
There you are.
He's a mean one. Haven't seen him, though. This one.
Ma'am?
This one. I know him. Which one's he?
Well, that's Richmond.
No, that's not his name. Told me it was Reichman. Said it was John Reichman. Lived up in 206 that's in front.
Is he in now, ma'am?
No, he went out this morning early. First time in a couple of days he went out early.
You expect him back soon?
Oh, I don't know right off. Might be. I don't generally know when they're coming back. Don't keep tabs on them, you know.
Them?
Yeah, tenants. A nice bunch, most of them quiet. Had a full place last 2 years.
Uh-huh. How long is this, Reichman?
Yeah, that's it, John Reichman.
How long has he been here?
Oh, he's kind of new. He took over the room from a friend of his.
Yes, ma'am. Does he have any friends in the building? Anyone that he sees quite a bit of?
Well, now, there's a girl in 306. He sees quite a bit of her.
Oh, who's that, Miss Holbrook?
That'd be Barbara McIntyre. Nice girl. Dancer. Works downtown at one of the clubs.
She in now, would you know?
Oh, she should be, yes. Hardly ever gets up much before noon. Hardly ever. She works late, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Does Richmond drive a car?
Richmond? Oh, dear, now. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Seems like he's always coming home in a cab. Comes in at all hours. I don't think he's going to last here.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
Because I don't think he will, that's all. Plays the radio late, makes noise, you know. Then there was a fight. The girl didn't want to do anything about it, but I certainly think she should have.
Oh, what's that about, ma'am?
Oh, one night, let's see, it must have been about a week ago. Reichman or Richmond or whatever his name is came home and he was, well, he'd been drinking quite a bit, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he went up to the girl's apartment and they had an awful brawl. Screaming and yelling, an awful brawl. I went up and asked her if there was something I could do, but she yelled through the door and said no, that everything was all right. Of course, it wasn't.
Ma'am?
Well, the next day, the poor thing had a black eye that just wouldn't stop, all bruised up. Had a bandage right here on her forehead. Must have hit her awful hard. No, sir, I don't think he's going to last.
Uh-huh. And you're pretty sure that you haven't seen this other man, though, are you?
Well, let me see that picture again.
Mm-hmm. This one?
No, I'm positive I never saw him. Of course, that don't mean he wasn't here.
Ma'am?
Well, like I said, I don't pay much attention to them. They pay their rent, and I don't bother them. They come and go as they please. Say, what do you want them for? Is it about that Mr.
Richmond?
Yeah, is it about him beating up that poor girl?
No, ma'am.
I should have known about him. No, sir, he ain't going to last long around here.
I wonder if we could see his room, Mrs. Holbrook.
Well, I guess it's all right. I'll get the key.
All right, ma'am, thank you.
Here you are. It's right up the stairs and then to the front of the hall. It's on the right at the far end of the hall.
Well, we'd rather you'd come up with us, ma'am.
Oh, well, all right. Glad to help. The way he must have beat that girl, a fiend, that's what he is. He sure isn't going to last long around here.
No, ma'am, he sure isn't. Before we looked at Richmond's apartment, we tried to check with his girlfriend. We found that she wasn't in. The manager let us into her apartment, but we found no indication where she might have gone. Then we went downstairs and searched Richmond's place. He wasn't there. The landlady stood by while we searched the place. In a closet, we found a small arsenal, a gas grenade, a sawed-off shotgun, and 2 boxes of shells. There were also several revolvers, along with over 150 rounds of ammunition. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on the building. Sergeants Ullery, Gerard, Gilmore, and Miller came out. Gerard and Gilmore covered the front entrance. Ullery and Miller were stationed at the back of the building, and Frank and I covered Richmond's room. The residents of the apartment were warned to stay inside their rooms and to keep their doors locked. 10:30 p.m. There was still no sign of the suspects. We waited. 11 o'clock, 11:15, midnight.
Joe?
Yeah?
Looks like it might be them. Cab pulling up in front.
How about Gerard and Gilmore?
No, can't see him from here. Yeah. Looks like Palmer and Richmond. They got the girl with him.
Where is she?
She's walking between them. Makes it tough, huh?
Yeah. Well, I won't try to take him on the street this way.
They're coming in the building.
Uh-huh. should be here pretty quick.
Figures if they're coming here.
Upstairs. Girl's apartment, huh?
Sounds like it. What if they went in with her?
We'll just have to wait.
Wait a minute. Somebody outside there in the hall.
Yeah.
Hold it.
I don't feel right, I tell you. It's too quiet. Something's up.
All right, mister, let's hold it.
Cops, George, beat it!
Oh. All right, give it up, Palmer. They made the street. Gilmore and Gerard should get him. Get that car, Joe. Let's go. Looks like they're in that store. You want to cover me while I try to get over there?
All right, take it easy.
Right. You all right, Frank?
Right.
All right, I'm coming over.
I'll cover you.
You see Gilmore and Gerard?
Yeah.
They're behind the Buick over there. Come on out of there. Richmond, Palmer, come on. Throw the guns out.
You come in and take us, cop.
Give it up, Richmond. You're at a dead end. There's no way out of there.
It won't make one.
They're coming out, Joe.
Okay, I quit. You got Richmond, I quit. Now don't shoot anymore. Please don't shoot anymore. You won't shoot anymore, will you please?
Throw that gun out here. Come on.
All right. Here it is. I'm throwing it out. Now don't shoot anymore, please.
Got it. All right, I'll check Richmond. All right.
I haven't got any gun. I gave it to you. I'm hurt. Can't you see that I'm hurt bad?
I told Gilmore to call the ambulance. Richmond's dead. How about this one? Well, he's hit. I don't know how bad.
I should have known not to kill a cop. I would have been like this if I hadn't killed that cop. I didn't mean to. I got scared. That's all, scared. You can understand that, can't you?
Yeah, you want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah.
Watch it, Frank. He's got another gun. You all right? Yeah. Palmer? Palmer. I'll check him. What about it?
He's dead.
Look here, Jar.
What's that?
He had these in his pockets.
Must be 50 or 60 rounds of ammunition there.
Yeah. Doesn't look like he was ready to quit.
He was ready.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 26th, an inquest was held in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Veneman. Friends, every day more and more people are changing to Chesterfield and finding Chesterfield is best for them. One reason for this is premium quality. Chesterfield is first to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Another reason, Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfield. I smoke an average of 2 packs a day, and I'm convinced Chesterfield is best for me. Try 'em, regular or king size. I think you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
At the coroner's inquest, it was found that the deaths of George Thomas Richmond and Henry Donald Palmer were justifiable homicide. It was found that they were armed and were killed while resisting arrest. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Joyce McCluskey, Paul Richards. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfield much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever and whenever people need help, the Red Cross answers the call. When a flood-stricken family needs shelter, when a crippled child must learn to walk and play, and when a wounded soldier needs blood, the Red Cross is always there. Now the Red Cross needs your help. To keep up their many services this year, $93 million is needed. So when the Red Cross volunteer calls on you, please answer the call and give generously.